Hello everybody and welcome to another Pretty Good Gaming podcast. It's the E3 summary kind of special. Nintendo haven't had theirs yet, but we're going to talk about the many games that we've already seen. My name is Jake Kulkowski and I'm joined by Liam McKelvey.
Hello.
Mike Williams.
Hey.
And Gareth Evans.
Hello everybody.
Another 4-man podcast. We're back in full swing and there's plenty to talk about, so we need to, as Philip DeFranco would say, get right into it. So before any of the conferences officially started, all the big guns came out with EA and things like that, we got a few stragglers. We got a couple at the beginning of the herd, and I'm going to go through a couple of them. And there's a lot of games to go through, so I'm going to start listing some off, and we'll have some jump-off points and talk about some of the ones that I know have interested us more as a team.
There's a lot to get through, isn't there?
The first things first, before any of this mentioned, as per last week's podcast, Hellblade: Senua's Sacrifice did get that trailer that we were talking about.
Yes.
So we liked that, didn't we?
Yeah, I like the fact that it was like a minute and a half trailer, and there was a minute and a half of the developer talking to the camera saying, this is a genuine AA game. It's half the size of a AAA game with a full, half the budget, half the price, but with the full like AAA graphics and that. And we need your support, and then other people will develop these kind of games in the future. And that sentiment was kind of hit home for me. I was really impressed by that. His honesty, he's laying it all out, and the game itself looked awesome. So I would like people to take a look at this game. Don't pre-order though.
Yeah,
maybe not pre-order, maybe not support in that way, but it's up to you guys. I think we should definitely get behind people like this, independent people like this, who want to push, big games, but for a smaller price.
One of the biggest complaints that we've got on this channel regularly is the fact that full price is not worth the price. It's not $60 isn't, or 40 quid or whatever. It's not always worth the money. So when someone's breaking away from that model that everyone else is sticking so stringently to, you got to. Well, it's just worth, like you said, it's worth a look at the very least. You have to take a look at it. Yeah,
there's some gorgeous graphics as well, isn't it?
Yeah, it looks very nice.
If you've not seen it before, it's worth checking it out just to see what it's all about.
And also, sorry, before we move on, we did email these guys and ask them for like an interview because we were so encouraged and excited about their announcement, their game. We want to kind of try and cover them if they want to share any information with us, an interview or whatever. They haven't got back to us yet, so get on the Twitter, let them know that we're interested, and we're kind of important to some people in the game.
Yeah, stop sending me a placeholder email saying you'll consider me.
Thanks for your time.
Thanks for my
This is a very public follow-up email.
Okay, so
we look forward to your reply. Regards.
So Hellblade: Senua's Sacrifice was followed by, only chronologically, nothing to do with each other, Kingdom Come Deliverance.
Yeah.
So a bit more of that. A cinematic trailer was officially put out there for the world to see. What do you think of that? What do you make of that?
Gaz, this is one you've been talking about a lot.
Yeah. Well, I was really happy with the trailer. It looked very cinematic. It fills in some of the story, gets you, fills out a bit of the backstory about the protagonist. About there's been an invasion of your hometown. Your parents may or may not have been killed. Don't want to spoil too much if you haven't seen it, but I've already spoiled it. Too late. It looked really, really awesome. There's like good voice acting. I would say there was a problem with the audio for me at one point, like with one of the characters' audios like jumped really high and it just seemed a bit out of place. But other than that, it seemed like a well polished. Let's hope that the game itself can come out this well polished, because I've played the beta. Oh, not the beta, the early access, because I'm a early access supporter.
Right.
And the game itself was janky at the stage that I played it, and let's hope that they put this much polish into the game itself. I'm sure they will, because obviously it was early access, but the signs are good. They've got a good story. It looks like a good world. It looks very rich. The facial animations look solid. All good signs for me, I think.
Right, so Kingdom Come Deliverance and Hellblade were two games that stood out to us before E3. Obviously, it's quite a clever move for maybe a smaller developer to put something out just while everybody's getting into that routine of checking their computers daily for news updates and things like that.
And I think it's important the fact they obviously weren't planning to be at E3, so that they got their trailers out before E3 started.
Exactly.
So that's why this happened.
Yeah, very, very smart. So that being said, let's move on to the actual event. E3 officially started on Saturday, the 10th of June. And we saw some big conferences. Before all that, there was a couple of little stragglers, I've been calling them. A couple of games that were mentioned. I just mentioned them in passing. Now we saw Project Cars 2, MotoGP, A Hat in Time, Dauntless. We also saw Fortnite, which looked pretty interesting, and probably the most interesting of all, certainly in my opinion, was Vampire, which is sort of Don't Nod, who made Life is Strange. It's their take on a 19th century Victorian age open world vampire game. Right, and Gaz, you've seen it as well. And
again, yeah, I feel like I'm talking too much. Anyone else?
I didn't actually see this. Is one of the few trailers I didn't actually watch. Did you see that?
Yeah, I saw it. It looked really story heavy from what I could gather.
Right,
like lots of moral intrigue from what I saw. Like, will you like stay in the shadows, hiding as a vampire, or will you just go like insane and start like kidnapping people off the streets?
I always like that kind of stuff.
It looked very sci-fi. There was a lot of like beasts crawling through the city. So like that sci-fi angle was interesting. We did touch on it in the previous podcast. I'm sure we did
a little bit,
about the whole gameplay. How if you kill one person, they're not there for the rest of the story. So yeah, we've gone into that in detail in the past. It's nice to see this gameplay type or world building trailer as it was, and it's nice to see that. It can't be that far off now, and I'm interested because of the fact it is Don't Nod, and they made such a good job of the story in Life is Strange. So yeah, excited for it.
Yeah, cool. More on Life is Strange in just a little while. So let's talk about the first big conference of the whole event so far. Like I'm saying, at the time we're recording this, Nintendo haven't gone yet. I know Nintendo have got their own Nintendo Direct, so E3 is normally a smaller deal for them. So we're assuming that we're not going to miss too much out. So let's get into EA. Probably the weakest showing so far out of all of them that we've seen.
Is that because they didn't have Skate? Or?
Yeah. Oh dear. Well, there was no Skate.
You're saying it's the weakest.
They also had the least games, the biggest pizzazz. They also had the most cringe. And
the cringe factor was just worth watching it in it, like Jesse Wellens.
It kind of makes it, in its own way, the best conference.
It is for me, I was so entertained by the cringe. Yeah. I always, my screen was crawling watching it. It's Jesse Wellens, for those who don't know. 10 million subscribers on YouTube. Yeah. Prank v Prank, huge channel. Spurt from his girlfriend, who they did Prank v Prank with like last year or year before or something. So he's been in a lot of the YouTube drama type of channels recently. So people know who he is. Like he's not this anonymous guy, and he screwed up so bad. I think his teleprompter must have broken.
It can only be that, can't it? Either that or what else was he doing? Because he looked like he was looking for help a lot of it. He was like...
You could see into his soul. Look at his eyes. He was looking for help from like above or something.
Yeah, I kind of meant like from the cameraman or the teleprompter guys.
The
producer. But it's...
So, believe it or not, that was not the highlight of the EA E3 conference. We did see quite a lot of different stuff. So... Like I've been saying, there's a lot of games to get through. I've picked a certain amount of jump-off points here, but if there's anything you want to say about any of these games,
we will jump in.
To stop
Thank
me.
you.
So I'm gonna go out on a bat and say you're not gonna have too much to say about these games. There was of course Madden NFL 18, which showed story mode. Friday Night Lights the game. There was a FIFA 18 and NBA Live 18. That's sports games that way.
I mean, I always underestimate. I always forget with EA how many sports games there are and how much of the conference is going to be taken up by sports games. So for like 50% of it, I'm like, I forgot about all this shit.
And all the games are very homogenized now. You look at the trailers, like an observation you made, Jake, is that they're all like the underdog story, like a young black guy who wants to
be a sports star. He's talking to his dad at home like, Dad, I can do it.
Yeah.
And it's like, just change the sport that he's playing and it's the same game.
Yeah.
You know, another thing with the EA conference, which is I find is a funny observation, is that like you just said then, you always forget how, basically boring they are. And and your T-shirt says a lot here. They've mixed fans of sports and fans of Star Wars. And one of them was sitting watching,
it's
waiting
not
for the other one, going, more of this nerd shit. I just want to see FIFA. So those of course, EA's sports games. We also saw Need for Speed Payback, which is responsible in part for Jesse Whelan's amazing failure.
All set aside, it's Need for Speed Payback. It's awesome.
Thanks, Doug, for having me. Thanks, Jesse.
After Need for Speed Payback, we saw.
I feel so bad.
We saw the first interesting game of EA's conference, in my opinion anyway, other than the Battlefield 1 DLC, but that's just DLC. We saw A Way Out, which is...
It was a new game.
Yeah, a new game.
New IP.
A new IP the developer of Brother Tale of Two Sons. Liam, you played that as well, right?
Yeah, great game.
Yeah, it's a really kind of unique, indie little thing. It's kind of like a co-op game that you play with yourself. And what I mean is that you control two brothers with one half of the joypad, and you go on this sort of whimsical little adventure. Really quite good.
Or it's co-op with, couch co-op or online co-op as well.
Well, that's Brothers Tale of Two Sons that I'm on about.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Which is one type of co-op, and now they've gone the complete opposite way. Like you quite rightly said, then it's online co-op or couch co-op only. You can't play this game by yourself, even
which
if
is
you have to be
online. Ballsy. It's a
which
big
is
move.
very ballsy because you're assuming that people have got people that care about games in their house.
Yeah.
I don't. I don't. My girlfriend and Ellie, they're not interested. My dog certainly can't play PlayStation games. I'll have to play this online. So it's interesting and it's a niche. So they've been it's very brave. But let's talk about what the game actually is. Let's set the scene here a bit. It's sort of a prison break simulator, right? It's
but there's stuff after that as well, isn't there?
Once you've broken out, there was the it reminded me a lot of Uncharted 4. That them missions where you're climbing the rocks at the very beginning with your brother. Is it your brother? And where there was one part of the trailer where you're making a jump over some canyon, the other guy's there ready to catch him. So there's definitely that feel of it. And obviously in Uncharted 4, in the very first or second missions, there's the breaking out of jail mission as well, or one of the first missions. So it reminded me a lot of Uncharted 4. What is most notable about the game, though, is that it looks AA. Like the graphics themselves didn't look too inspiring. It looked very.
That's fair. Yeah, I agree.
I mean, if they go for a AA, like a £25, £30 price point, which is like $35-40 price point, then that's fine. Like I'll play the game. I'll be happy with it. If they go for a full AAA release, I will not be happy with those graphics and animations. Let's be honest.
Yeah, not to Brothers Tale of Two Sons, Liam. It's how many hours would you say? About 3 hours.
Yeah, 3-4 at most.
It's one of them Little Nightmares sort of deals. You know what I mean? So if this is anything to go by, I'm sure it's a great. They're going to be going for a cinematic experience, an emotional experience.
Yeah.
But knowing this developer, based on one of his previous works, and the fact that he used to be into film, he was a director before that.
I've seen a few interviews with him where he's really hammers home that.
He's probably going to be more into the fact that it's an emotional investment. And what I'm trying to say is, I don't think it'll be a full length game. I think AA is a fair assumption. But what EA will do with that, aka they'll probably change the price point, is kind of concerning. So that was A Way Out, and then after A Way Out, we saw what a lot of people have been waiting for, a lot of people have been anxious for, Star Wars Battlefront 2, which had a bunch of famous YouTubers, didn't it, playing the game. And you, Mike, big Star Wars fan.
Yeah.
You played Battlefront?
Yeah, played a lot of it.
Did it make you excited for the sequel?
Yeah, totally. I mean, it's what they did with the Star Wars Battlefront. It's not the original. That's subtly confusing, isn't it? But the new original Star Wars Battlefront. It was very bare bones, famously. So there was only there wasn't a campaign. There was limited multiplayer. There wasn't progression or anything like that. Not much anyway. It's just all very streamlined stuff, and it was all the absolute bare minimum of what they could put on a shelf and charge you for. And even then, it was completely overpriced for what it was. So this one, you feel like they're ticking all these boxes. Like yes, it's all the periods from all throughout Star Wars and stuff. There's a single player campaign. There's some nice cinematics and stuff in there. They've expanded it hugely. But I'm still sat there going well, you should have done this the first time, really. This is what should have been in the first game. Having said that, though, it was very good to watch. The gameplay, I like the way they did that. I like when you're showcasing multiplayer. It's difficult to do, but I liked the way they were cutting from different positions, so you could see what was going on. And there was all that. What you love about Battlefront is that playing as Star Wars characters in Star Wars locations. There's and you've got that battlefield sense as well, where there's vehicles all around you. There's fighter jets in the air and stuff, but obviously it's all Star Wars. So it was really good. It really captured the atmosphere really well. It looks amazing, just exactly like the new original did. It looks the part, absolutely. And I'm just really excited about seeing more of it. I just want to see some of the campaign. Maybe I want to see how the campaign missions are structured and stuff like that. I think it was a good presentation for Battlefront all in all, definitely.
I think one of the things for me that was the most interesting, especially for EA, and I think this has been rumoured a little bit earlier in the year, for Star Wars Battlefront 2, all the post-launch content, all the DLC, all the extra maps, all the extra content, completely free.
Titanfall style.
Yeah. No messing about.
Yeah.
EA notorious for being baddies, being bastards, I was going to say. Being baddies with season passes.
It does make you think, though, what else are they going to do? So, like, that doesn't really rule out microtransactions like boosters and stuff like that to me. That doesn't really rule out the...
There is a currency, isn't there?
Yeah.
There is a currency. You can buy... You know, there's no unlockables that you find on the floor this time. You buy the ability to play a hero. You buy special grenades with points. So no doubt there'll be an option to top them up.
Wow.
I reckon skins as well.
Yeah.
Because there's loads of different characters, loads of different droids. I can imagine everybody would want to kind of play as like a C-3PO kind of character with a massive, you know, battle rifle sort of thing. You know.
Yeah.
So
for comedy value, like you mean.
Yeah, exactly. Because it'd be funny, right?
Yeah, they actually put that in the prequels, and it wasn't that funny. It was they put that in the actual movie. George Lucas thought, fucking hell. Anyway, what am I doing? As soon as you start talking about the prequels.
Anyway, let's take a step back, and the microtransactions aside, let's assume that they've listened to the feedback that they had from the first game, that they've implemented a lot of the changes that people wanted. They wanted more content. They wanted more eras, as which what they've implemented. They wanted free DLC and add-ons, and that's what they've done. So let's give them some credit for that.
Yeah, they certainly sounded like they were listening, and that's what's funny. They've sort of gained this sort of skepticism, like a cloud over them. Even when they make a good thing, people can't let them have it. So let's let them have that, and go on to something that they did wrong, because this is they deserved it, even though it wasn't probably their fault. Anthem, guys. So that's Project Dylan, the Bob Dylan of games.
Yeah,
was
Anthem
kind of shown off at EA's conference.
It was teased, wasn't it?
They teased the teaser. It was the trailer for the trailer, and then it was like, and come back for Microsoft's conference. For more of that.
Are we going to talk about Anthem later, or
we're going to be going on to Anthem in just a second, because that pretty much wraps it up for EA's conference. So. Any final thoughts on that? How did we feel about it?
No Skate 4 in it. That's what I was.
No Skate 4.
Couldn't believe that.
Yeah.
Couldn't believe that.
It's
don't know about you guys.
Travesty. Absolute travesty.
You're probably not that interested, Jake, but Skate 4 is like a skateboarding game.
I love you guys. Right, okay. So that was EA. They like I'm saying, they announced 8 games and a trailer for a trailer. Speaking of games, the next conference is Xbox. Microsoft, Phil Spencer, and they promised games, and they gave you games. 42 of them, to be precise, and plenty of exclusives. First of all, Phil Spencer strolled on stage, and they announced Project Scorpio, the first proper reveal with all the bells and whistles, the name, you know.
Xbox One X.
And that's what it is.
Xbox One X.
It's not a name.
It's Xbox One S, guys.
It's a letter.
Xbox One X.
I'm sorry,
they sound so
I don't know the difference. You tell me the difference.
Exactly. Yeah. So it was the Xbox One X, guys. What we're going to call it? The X1X?
The One X. One X. I like One X.
One X sounds.
One X sounds good. So there was the reveal, and it seemed to be. There was no price point at this time. What we now know is $499, which we assume is selling at a loss. But it's smaller. That was the biggest thing for me. It's the smallest out of them all.
Yeah, he detailed a lot of like the technical, like they'd invented this new technology or something for the components inside, and there was the engineer who was there. I don't know, I can't remember exactly, but obviously a lot of clever people have been working on this project to be able to shrink the size of the Xbox and get more power out of it. It's awesome. I mean, fair play.
It's
I applaud him for
the
that.
most powerful console ever, Phil Spencer says. He then said, if anyone else tries to make another console, I'll kill them. He didn't do that. What he did do...
I was like, I missed that.
No, but what he did do then was took the heat off the console and moved on to Forza.
Yeah, pretty quickly as well.
It was quite a quick thing. And I'll admit, the first time you saw it, there was a lot of... there was sand and rocks and camels, and I was like, oh, what's this game? It looks really good. Then I saw a car, and my attention just dipped. What do you guys think of Forza or racing games in general? Anyone into these games? Or
I'm a Forza fan, I have to admit. Like, it's as far as racing games go, I think you can't really beat Forza.
Right. Okay,
like, they strike a balance between like realistic, arcadey, and just like content rich.
Yeah.
And they're just like, even if you look at them, like, even if it's a bad game, they're really well-made games on like a technical level.
Well,
you look at the trailer; it did look fantastic. The rain effects, the The lighting, the car, the graphics in general, it looked beautiful. Got to hand it to it.
Racing games are always ones that kind of set the bar for me. Like in all generations, for I'm talking about the last 15 years or so.
Yeah.
You look back and the racing games are generally the most realistic looking.
Yeah.
If nothing else. So this Forza is obviously the one that's the one for this generation. It might have been Gran Turismo 10, 15 years ago or something, but now it's
the benchmark.
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
And can we talk about the fact that they just unveiled the Xbox One X, like the biggest, beefiest console like known to man ever, with the best games ever, and then they roll a Porsche onto the stage. It's like, who the fuck cares about this car? Like, we've got an exclusive like deal with Porsche, like to show off this for the next 6 years. This is the Porsche, and everyone's like, where are the fucking games?
They were talking about.
Show me the fucking games.
I saw an interview afterwards about this, and they were like, "Oh, we just revealed a Porsche on the stage, and normally they reserve those for like the I don't know, Tokyo Motor Show or whatever." And I was like, "Yeah, that's where it fucking belongs. That's where it,
You fucking drive it back there then."
Yeah. So I
go over there and reveal Forza Motorsport 7.
It was probably like a tough decision, wasn't it, for them, because they are contractually obligated to show that off. So they thought, should we just save it to the end or just get it out the way? And they got it out the way, and then, boys, the games began, right? Yeah. So let's talk about Metro Exodus. It's, quite well received already. We saw a pre-rendered gameplay trailer sort of thing. It makes you think it's gameplay.
Well, visually alone, in terms of direction and art style stuff, I loved Metro, and that it just felt like Metro, but you were outside a lot more, and there was a lot of like above ground stuff. So the vast majority of Metro takes place underground, and subway, metro tunnels and stuff.
Was there like a giant mole creature?
Yeah, were they like werewolves? Were they moles? What were they?
That's not Metro. There's no creatures in Metro, is there?
There's creatures. Sorry, I'm trying to think specifically if there's a giant mole thing, but there's definitely all kinds of ghoulish.
They're like just general radioactive mutants, aren't they?
Right.
It's your bog standard radioactive
mutants. They all seem like quite like furry little like Wolverine.
There's that kind of stuff. It's like stuff that is maybe gothic a little bit, where they're kind of based on wildlife of some variety that's then mutated to be something horrific.
Okay. So we saw that, and I've got to say, like you just mentioned then, the gameplay took you above ground, and we saw
very colourful
looked
as well,
impressive, but then you're holding yourself back, aren't you, thinking this could just be a film.
Yeah, exactly.
It's not. It doesn't mean anything.
It's what I'd want to see in it, and it feels like another Metro game, and there hasn't been a Metro game in years. I'm definitely ready for a sequel. This looks different enough that taking it above ground is good. And they were talking about open world kind of elements to it, the fact that there's more exploration this time, whereas the other one's very linear. So
that's Last Light, is it? 4 years ago?
Yes, it would have been 4 years. Yeah, sounds about right. So I'm definitely interested in it. It looks very nice.
So that was Metro Exodus. So that's the first bit of FPS sort of action we saw, and then we went straight to Assassin's Creed Origins, which got a reveal and was very much Egypt, like we've been saying for the last couple of podcasts.
It was very Egypt, yeah, true.
Which, was a surprise to pretty much nobody.
Yeah. I'd like to see what kind of Egypt would be like. But this was very much Egypt. Absolutely Egypt.
It wasn't the outskirts. We were on the pyramids and shit.
This wasn't literally sliding down the pyramid.
This wasn't Libya. This
exactly.
that shit. This is
so what did we think of that? Is anyone really that into it? I couldn't really care about this.
No, I can't say. I'm with you there.
Strong no for me.
What's most notable about this game, though, just as a point of fact, is that this is the furthest back in time that the series has ever gone. So whether that's interesting to you guys or not, you take your pick. It's not really interested in me. The graphics looked awesome. Some of the gameplay looked good. The fighting looked different. It looked a bit like more Soul style fighting.
A lot of rolling and dodging rather than hold block.
It was less magnetic to the actual enemy, where you're just pressing this button to kill him this way.
No, you're totally right. I think one of the strengths of Assassin's Creed Origins is, of course, it's the furthest back they've gone. Therefore, they've called Origins. But as well as that, they might have made a few new fans from the film from this year, and at this point, people might have been a bit intimidated by playing Assassin's Creed 7. But Assassin's Creed Origins sounds like the first one. It seems like it's a nice place to enter the Assassin's Creed series. So there was that.
They needed a kind of a reboot for the series as well, for taking it on hold and stuff like that. And
that's right.
They needed a refresh.
Yeah, and if the combat is like I just suggested it might be, then I'm kind of interested now. It's kind of sparked my interest. Like, I don't know how many pyramids there are to climb and to do them eagle dives off or whatever it is.
If there's not a single eagle dive in it, I'd be over the moon. To be honest.
Exactly.
I've done it like loads. So.
Right, Assassin's Creed Origins then wasn't only shown at Microsoft. We also got a little bit more of it at Ubisoft. We'll get to that in a bit. The next thing Microsoft revealed was PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds. They announced it was exclusive for about a week. So it's exclusive unless you're already playing it on PC like we are.
It's the tweet that I saw. There's literally PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds is now an Xbox exclusive. No, it's
so
not.
Misleading.
I had just finished playing PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds on PC.
Literally turned the game off to look at Twitter.
So they announced that, and then they got PlayerUnknown himself out to announce that. Deep Rock Galactic was then shown off, which was like a low poly mining dwarfy game, wasn't it? You like that, Liam?
Yeah, it looked kind of interesting, like co-op mining, Left 4 Dead style, like alien attacks, I guess.
Yeah, okay, that's a great segue into the next one, which was State of Decay 2, which kind of looked a little bit like Left 4 Dead, third person, including like the bloated zombies that explode when you shoot them. Did that pique anyone's interest?
State of Decay, I was a big fan of. I thought it did zombie stuff very differently, and it was like, it was about building stuff up. And at the time, it was, it was doing a lot of things that you wanted from a zombie game, and wasn't being done for you. It was like you had to go out, you had to sneak around houses, and it had all this cool kind of community building elements to it, where you'd rescue people, bring them in, and they'd have jobs to do and stuff. You'd tell them to work certain stations in your base, and you could move your base based on finding new locations. And it was like, it was very like lightweight in like polish and stuff. It was obviously not a AAA game, but I don't know, I just really liked it. I thought it did a lot of stuff well. Problem is now, there's loads of games like that. There's so many zombie survival games that it's I don't know what it can do to be interesting. The co-op thing sounds cool, but
we didn't really see enough to make a affirmative decision.
That is one of the disappointments from the E3 so far for me. State of Decay 2, like in principle, it should have been something that really excited me. But I haven't seen the trailer. There's, like Mike said, there's nothing there that is any different to the games that we've been playing for the last couple of years. So, underwhelmed is the word I would use.
Okay, that's pretty fair assumption. We then saw the Darwin Project, which was like a sort of arena shooter that you can interact with on Microsoft's version of Twitch, which is called Mixer. So fans that are watching you can give you perks and stuff like that. We then saw Minecraft again
in 4K,
which is the second most drawn out game ever.
Behind Skyrim, is that?
That's it, yeah. Okay. We're going to get to that, then we saw Xbox Black Desert, which is Black Desert Online. Yeah. We did a story once about the role-playing troll on Black Desert Online, I believe.
Yeah, I remember.
So there's that. So then we saw something very interesting. The Last Night was shown off, which, for those that aren't aware, it's like a 2.5D, sort of 8-bit looking, Blade Runner-esque, cyberpunk experience. It was something, that's for sure. It really, really piqued my interest. It had the soundtrack by like Lorne, this like French music producer. There was like all these visuals and neon lights and stuff like that. And then it hit me. The game reminded me of Another World.
Yeah, definitely, 100%. I played that when it came out. It definitely is Another World throwback. The way the cars, just the whole world itself. It's something that dips into my nostalgia. I'm really interested in this game.
Yeah, it's manages to, because it's 2.5D. It's got that like weird like pop-up book style. You can go up down. It doesn't just harken back to like SNES days or Atari days. It's kind of got something fresh about it.
Yeah, it's like a mashup. Like it's got like the old retro style graphics, but with like new lighting effects and the way that the environment moves in the foreground as you're moving through the background. It's like really like a modern retro feel to it. It's really unusual.
It's really, and we later found out in an interview that wasn't in any of the conferences that Another World was a big influence for this. So we saw that. We then saw Artful Escape, which was Annapurna Interactive, one of their games, wasn't it? And what was that, Liam? We just saw like a guy walking and then
rock opera from what I.
And then he started playing a guitar.
Yeah, it seems like a surreal escapism type game.
Yeah,
it's like you escape into a fantasy and
with a guitar.
Yeah,
it was 2D as well, a 2D side-scroller thing. And then Code Vein, we saw then, which was the
Weeaboo Dark Souls, as I like to call it.
You've gone out on a limb there, boy. It's kind of got a very Japanesey anime style thing. It looks like it could be like a Soulsborne kind of thing. Then Dragon Ball Fighter Z, another Dragon Ball fighting game. Anyone into that?
Well, there's a lot of people in the comments who commented that we didn't mention it in our video covering this conference. And I'm sorry, we didn't.
There's a lot of games. Like it is tough to get through them all. It's as simple as that.
Especially the bad games.
It's like, oh, you didn't mention this.
Kamehameha to the fucking heart, boys. One for Goku there. Then Sea of Thieves got a big push. Yeah. This was one of the only times really that Xbox brought out a game where they just fucking showed some gameplay. No pizzazz. No bullshit. They just had a bit of gameplay. And we saw a bit of Sea of Thieves that we haven't seen before. We saw diving and exploration, didn't we? And treasure hunts.
Sharks, cannon. You can get in a cannon now and get shot by a cannon.
Shoot yourself out of a cannon, yeah.
Which is, all right.
It's the kind of game that you would... How would you make that into anything other than just a bit of gameplay? Because it's not, all they can do is show off the game in action, really, because it's not like it's going to, any kind of cinematic is going to... You just be like, what's this? It's just a pirate game like this.
How do you guys feel after watching that? Does it give you any insight into it? Do you want any more, any less?
I don't know. It does look interesting, but again, it's going to be one of those where co-op is going to be what makes it or not. For me, I think anyway.
Yeah.
It's just I don't know. I don't know if it's just going to be a bit of fun, if you're just going to like dip into it every now and then and be like, oh yeah, let's have a spin on Sea of Thieves, or is it something that you could just play for hours and hours and hours and lose yourself in? I don't understand what part of me is trying to appeal to just yet. I think
for me it was nothing that I'd seen before, nothing I hadn't seen before from Sea of Thieves. It was nothing that stood out too much. So it was like, oh, I want to get this game more now. And since watching the Sea of Thieves presentation, there's been at least another couple of pirate co-op games that have been announced that look a lot more detailed and a lot more like survival elements and stuff that Sea of Thieves haven't got. So, like in retrospect, Sea of Thieves has lost it. My excitement now.
That's what I guess that's what I was getting at, because it's like it looks nicer and it looks playful and everything, but then I looked at what the hell was it called? Skull and Bones.
Skull and Bones.
So it's like
Islands. It's all Wylands.
Yeah. So Islands is kind of probably a bit closer to Sea of Thieves, just in terms of the way it looks and tone and everything. But the Skull and Bones is kind of like, if I want to pretend to be a pirate, if I want to feel like what it's like to be a pirate, I would go for that game. What can I do on Sea of Thieves that it's just I don't know, it's just because it's so blocky and it's like representative of a pirate ship rather than this is what a pirate ship looks like.
It seems a little bit casual, I guess is what you're saying.
Yeah, so that's what I'm saying. And I'm not complaining about that. I just think is this is like, here's a toy box for you and your friends if you want to just jump in that and do some treasure hunting or whatever.
Yeah, there seems like there's a lot. They've got a lot more to give, and they kind of need to sort of give people a reason to get this over their new competitors, which I'm not sure how much of Wylands or Islands or whatever it was called, Skull and Bones, they were even aware of before this weekend. So
this is like I was worried for a long time, because it was just like No Man's Sky, where they were saying, oh, it's about feeling like a pirate. Well, that's that's fantastic, but what do I actually do in it? That's what I was missing, and I still it is winning me over a little bit, but I'm still kind of feeling that. I'm still kind of feeling like, what exactly is the point?
Yeah, okay.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, Sea of Thieves is quite muddled, and there's more and more questions as more and more is being revealed, which seems to be the opposite.
Like No Man's Sky.
Like No Man's Sky. So that was Sea of Thieves. We then saw Tacoma, followed by a little orange bushy tail. And Liam, I'm sure you were very happy for about 1 second.
For that split second, I actually pointed at my monitor and said, "Don't fuck with me, Microsoft."
Because you thought...
I thought it was a Conker sequel.
And it turned out to be Super Lucky's Tale, which was like this platformer for children. He kind of looked like Tails from Sonic.
Yeah.
Just cutesy fox running around. Wasn't a squirrel. Liam wasn't happy.
wasn't even a squirrel.
No. That's all we can say about it. Then Cuphead got a release date, which was big news for a lot of people who've been following this game for a long time, but I'm sure was met with boring, eye-rolling groans from everyone else, because it showed off hardly any gameplay. It was like a 20-second 1930s advert, and then it was like, we're finally releasing this game. But after years and years of waiting...
Yeah, by everyone who was excited by this game, you mean you.
Don't worry, I'm with you.
The grand total of
remember, guys. Yeah, no, loads of people I know. It's actually kind of weird because how many people are interested in this game, and I think it's quite niche. But it turns out a lot of people are really excited about this.
That is weird. That is genuinely weird.
Yeah. Yeah. See if we can guess who isn't a fan of Cuphead. We then saw Terry Crews, the guy who is from the Old Spice advert and many other things, shouting at you, your soul, everyone in the audience, dressed as a hero with a gun for Crackdown 3, which is one of the ones we keep talking about. Xbox needs these games. They're not going to get that far on State of Decay 2 and Crackdown 3. Has anything changed since you've seen that? Do you guys think?
I don't know. I mean, Terry Crews shouting at you to do something is a very compelling argument. Like, all right, Terry, I'll do it. But it's kind of like, Crackdown is an odd game because it doesn't look like much, right? Even the first two, they didn't really look that good. But when you played them, it was just really fun. It was like really fun. You could just jump really high. You could pick anything you wanted up. It was very fun. So I think maybe the best bet with Crackdown 3 is a demo. Just let people play it because it just doesn't sell itself very well on the visual. Even all this like city destruction stuff, which I was a bit disappointed by in E3. They didn't really show any more of that stuff. The city destruction thing looks great, like spectacular. But I think its best bet is to get people playing it first.
Okay, yeah. Liam, thoughts? Crackdown. You're our resident Crackdown expert. You think?
I guess so.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think it looked like a good return to form because the second one kind of went off track a bit.
Yeah,
like
I guess
didn't focus as much on like if for some reason it tried to go for like a story instead of just like sandbox.
For some fucking reason, it tried to take itself seriously.
You know what I mean? You know what I mean? Like Crackdown's all about the open world sandboxy gameplay.
It was like collectathon almost, wasn't it? Like orbs all over the place you had to collect and stuff. So.
So you've got you're holding out hope for that, right?
Yeah, I'm hoping it's good.
So then, follow that, they whipped out 20 odd games. The ID Xbox, none of them were worth a mention. So fuck that.
What? There's quite a few. There was like a seriously. Anyway, let's move on. Jake's already
thrown on the trash. 20 studios, thousands of people. None of them are worth shit. Fuck that. Let's move on.
From what I can remember, Age of Conan Exiles. That was it. Like I say, at any point, just because I think it's not worth talking about, at any point, if you guys want to talk about it...
Well, try not to dismiss them offhand, and then you can talk about
especially in bulks of 20.
Yeah, but the way I thought is, this is a good time saver, so I'll just fuck these 20 off. Alright, so there was, in a serious note, there was ID Xbox, which they were like showing off like a little sizzle reel. Yeah. These are all the games. A lot of these games you can kind of already see in other places, like Age of Conan, for example. It's been in early access for what feels like ages, but they were showing off bits of that, bits and bobs of different games. Nothing really caught my eye, if you couldn't tell already. They then showed Ashen, which was like another low poly kind of graphic game. We don't really know much about that. It looked like two people exploring a tomb full of wraiths and monsters. It looked interesting to me. This is
the first one for me for a while from all these games that we've seen so far that kind of sparked my interest. The first one that felt serious. It felt like a adult themed game. I don't know if like the rest were all kind of geared towards like your light-hearted gamer. This for me was something that was like, I could get my teeth into this maybe.
Yeah, and the graphical style's a weird one, isn't it? Because it's just on the edge. It's not like super realistic. They kind of got those weird. I think some of them have no faces. Is that right? Like they're just like the generation game mannequins sort of things. So there was action. That was followed by the surprise announcement for some. Although talk in the office last week was about this, that there was a rumor. And here it was. Life is Strange, the prequel Before the Storm, which is not made by Don't Nod, who have officially announced now that they are working on a sequel. This is a tale of a little prequel, a kind of like, what was it called? The Walking Dead on 400 Days or whatever.
Yeah.
It's a 3-episode little mini-series. Square Enix are publishing it, right? Mm-hmm. And there was no gameplay. It was just, you could see all the classic characters. It's since been announced that some of the voice actors aren't returning, which will be a shame. It'll be kind of weird to see different people voicing it. So for those that finished Life is Strange and are into that world, to see the high school again, Arcadia Bay, and the what's it called, like the garbage dump they call it. That's all in there. Frank is in there.
Yeah.
It was
Rachel's there.
Yeah.
The girl who was dead in the original.
Yeah, exactly.
She's in that in the prequel, so that'll be interesting because they talk about it so much in the story.
Exactly.
It'd be interesting to see her in the flesh.
Yes.
Obviously they're not. They haven't got the budget for the original, which is why the voice actors haven't returned, which is a smaller game. Yeah. Hopefully the price point reflects that. It's out in August, which is another notable point.
Yeah.
So soon. So excited for it.
We then moved on, yeah, totally right, and I'm really looking forward to that as well. We moved on to the Shadow of War, which is, I think, the first of the 3 showings of Shadow of War we've seen at E3 so far. We've still got another couple of days to go. We'll probably see a lot more of that.
Yeah.
All I can remember was some like Australian orc sort of giving it a bit of this.
Yeah, that's right.
He looked quirky. He looked pretty
cool.
It
was showing off the characters of the orcs, wasn't it? And it was the whole, you pick your army before you go and destroy other armies. So, they picked that guy. They hired this bruiser. Bruce, I think, was his name, actually.
Bruce. Yeah, probably sat with like BRUZZAH or something.
Yeah, so there was that. Then we saw Ori and the Will of the Wisps, which is a sequel to Ori and the Blind Forest, which is probably the only game I'm envious of that the Xbox had that the PlayStation didn't. It looks like one of those games. Really, really highly received, that game. Yeah. Reviews for it through the roof. It's kind of like, not in gameplay, but in how it was received. It kind of was like how Journey was received on the PlayStation. Do you agree? Like, it's kind of like they've got their little artsy game. Well, this was, a guy came on, played some piano, and it showed this sweeping trailer. Again, no gameplay. Ori and the Will of the Wisps. Now we're moving on to something that was very exciting for a lot of people. And Liam, this is probably your favourite moment so far, E3. Phil Spencer announced that backwards compatibility will be coming to the Xbox One family, and it will now include the original Xbox, the real Xbox One, games. And ironically, out of all the 40 games they announced, that got the biggest announcement, and you're really looking forward to that, aren't you?
Yeah, I am. I mean, if Microsoft aren't going to give me another Conker game, I'll just go play the old one. So,
Nice. Super Lucky's Tale.
Yeah, so I was happy to do that because I still play quite a lot of classic games, and this will just make it even easier to do so. I can put that that giant behemoth of the original Xbox in the cupboard.
Yeah,
it'd be so much easier and nicer.
Yeah, it's nice to be able to correlate all your games into one place.
Yeah, have more. It's going to be cool. With PlayStation not doing any backwards compatibility apart from the select PS2 classics,
which you have to buy.
Yeah, which you have to rebuy. Yeah. Xbox have got all on one console. Now you can do the entire line of the Xbox family,
which is a very smart move. Is making use of all these old catalog, this huge catalog that they've already got.
20 years worth of games.
Yeah, and you don't have to rebuy them. You can just use your original discs, which is awesome.
That's a very, very cool thing and very commendable and very pro-consumer for Microsoft.
Absolutely.
That's probably one of the big, and people have been asking for that as well, haven't they? People have been wishing and asking, and so that was good. So that was a nice little retrospect, and then moving forward into what some people have been calling the jewel in the crown, and especially after EA's teaser for the teaser, the most anticipated game for a lot of people was Anthem, which is the official name of Project Dylan, made by, in my notes, real BioWare, and it looked fucking.
We got some gameplay. Well, it looked like gameplay. There was no UI for a lot of it, so I'm questioning whether it was enhanced afterwards. It probably was. It looked like people were playing the game. There was interaction between the characters.
The voice actors.
Yeah, I mean, what's notable is it looked cool because you could fly with the jetpacks in your suit, which is awesome. Some of the weapons looked cool, highlighting all your enemies and then hitting the rocket button. All these rockets came down. It looked pretty cool. Whether it's going to be like that to play, it's another question.
Yeah, this looks like Attack on Titan for me, the TV show with the humanity seems to be residing inside this city, and there's a huge wall. People fly out in suits to fight the beasts outside. But let's not beat around the bush. There's one game that does spring to mind when I see this, and it's Destiny.
To me, there's a lot of games, because there's Destiny, there's Horizon Zero Dawn, where you got this end of the world, but then all these plant life, there's grown back, robot dinosaurs. Like the whole thing behind a wall, like Attack on Titan. There's so many teen, young adult movies and stuff these days with basically that premise.
Maze Runner,
it's Maze Runner. That wasn't even what I was thinking of. There's another one starts with a D and it's terrible. Divergent.
Right.
Basically that. It's exactly.
And it's terrible.
Yeah, and there's just so there's a bit of a homogenization of all these genres coming together. But I'm definitely interested in it because I was a big fan of Destiny, still am. I just want again, like with most of these, I want to see more of it. I want to see. Like you said, like unadulterated. This is actual gameplay. This is what it is like to play the game.
Yeah,
I want to see some of that. Maybe it's too early for them to show it off yet. But
it seems like it's like how The Division got a gameplay in
semi.
Yeah,
it was like it's all this exactly the same actually. And there's a good comparison because it was all this choreographed voice acting, super like bullshot graphics the whole way through. The game looks nothing like that, and playing co-op sounds nothing like that either.
What you guys will know is that the combat in Mass Effect Andromeda seems to go down nicely with a lot of people.
Yeah,
same engine, I believe. Is that a Frostbite engine?
I didn't know. Is it Frostbite?
I think it is. Yeah, fairly sure. And they've got they're class based. A la Destiny and many other games, but and that depends on your mech suit. That seems to be a nice way to diversify the gameplay, and the combat, from what I could see, it looked tight. They've got this whole sort of like it's a ongoing mode. It kind of looks like they've looked at Destiny and then they've said to BioWare Edmonton, we like that, you make that, but you do it.
Yeah, everyone's looked at Destiny and gone, we need one of those. Yeah. And Ubisoft was the first to jump in with Division, and it's everyone's having their own one now, aren't they?
Are you sold on it, Liam, or what? It's not.
No, it didn't sell me. I don't know why. It's just like I think probably it's too comparable to Destiny and Horizon for me. It doesn't look fresh or original for me.
Yeah, a lot of people are saying there's a lot of it, but it washes off easily. That seems to be like Liam's consensus, right?
That's pretty much it.
Yeah, it doesn't seem like there's anything fresh there for me. But one question that I've got for you guys now, it definitely doesn't look like the Bob Dylan of video games. But what would you call it at this stage? Like
the Skrillex of video games.
The Skrillex of video games, or the
16-year-old kids are going wild or whatever.
No, it's disappointing that they called it the Bob Dylan video games. That's for sure.
Well, this is they said right, Project Dylan as in Bob Dylan. That's one quote. Okay, that's fine. That's fair enough. He's just explaining how you write the word Dylan, right? But then in the Kotaku thing, Jason Schreier is going...
Respected games journalist.
Jason Schreier is saying, a source told him the intention is to make the Bob Dylan of video games.
We've got a long way...
Even if that's true, do not say that.
Yeah, that's you're setting yourself up for a failure. So that was the Microsoft conference. There was a lot of games there. It took us a long time to get through.
It was good.
That is the longest we're going to spend on a couple of things, guys, probably because there were so many games. That's when games.
Yeah. Before we move on, one notable thing about the whole conference in general, for a conference that's supposed to be showing off the raw power of the Xbox One X, they didn't show off a lot of games that would be awesome on the One X. So that was the disappointment for me. Like it was mainly kind of
It was Forza. Forza was there like, look how good this game looks, wasn't it? And I think that may have been a mistake because if you're not interested in racing games, Forza is just like FIFA or whatever for me. It's just I just glance past it. Whatever they're doing with it. So it might have been a better idea to have some kind of big fat AAA game to some third person action adventure or something to show off on it.
Yeah,
that might have been a better idea.
Totally. I think the thing with Microsoft is that they've come through on their promise of games, but it wasn't in the clause that there would be games like Cuphead. You know what I mean? No one's going, I want to play that in 8K or whatever, 4K, whatever K. So let's move on to Bethesda next. So I'm going to start burning through these. I might just start bringing up the ones that I know are going to be notable because there's still a lot to get through. So Bethesda showcased 9 games, all right? They had like a sort of double feature VR special. They had Doom VFR. I can only imagine what the F stands for. And they also had Fallout 4 VR, which is like the first time I've seen a fully fleshed out, fully playable game in proper VR with loads of different features, loads of different styles of playing, and it looks really promising, at least to me. Pique anyone's interest? Fallout 4 or Doom?
Yeah, definitely. It did look very interesting. We did cover it in the video that we covered the Bethesda conference on, so go see that video if you want more of our thoughts on the Fallout VR. It looks interesting. It's full price. I guess we got to hand them to putting a lot of effort into the game. So I don't know.
It's a long development period on it, isn't it? Which is encouraging because if it's already the game already exists and it has been patched post-release and all that stuff. It's a finished product. All this time they've spent on it is to make it work with VR. So that's one good thing.
Right. Okay. So they had like a sort of Elder Scrolls triple feature. They had Elder Scrolls Online Morrowind. They had Elder Scrolls Legends, which is a cards game, hero of Skyrim.
Yeah.
They followed up with Skyrim on the Switch. 5 years, 7 months, and 4 days too late, if you ask me. Still no release date for that. But we do know it's this year. So there's a lot of Elder Scrolls, a lot of stuff there that we kind of already aware of. They did the paid mods thing for Fallout 4 and Skyrim.
Which
Again,
was
games
bullshit.
we already know. Then, in terms of new stuff, they announced a standalone Dishonored thing, didn't they? Definitely Outsider.
Yeah.
Looks pretty good, right, guys?
Yeah, I mean, I'm a big fan of Dishonored. More of it is going to be is good, and it's interesting that they didn't just put it as DLC. It's a bit cool.
Standalone expansion.
Yeah, it's not even that big though. It's just like one adventure. It's a standalone adventure. So I'm assuming I'm looking at 3-4 hours maybe max. It's interesting that they just put it on it as its own thing
because they can't charge as much money if it's just DLC, I suppose.
Yeah, no one bought Dishonored 2, right?
And it's one of the characters that appeared as like a side character in the original story. So you're familiar with the character. So this is more of her story. And what was the name of the character?
Billy Lurk.
Yeah.
Billy Lurk.
Kind of like what Uncharted's doing with Lost Legacy, isn't it? A side character put into the main frame for a standalone thing. They also announced some Quake Champion stuff, which is currently in closed beta. You can sign up for that if you want to play it. Twitch Shooter Fast Paced, they've announced it with a lot of talk about competitions and things like that. Then they moved on to The Evil Within 2, which is a game I can't say was very well received, but it does have its fans.
Well, let's put it this way. A lot of people who played it on console enjoyed it. The Metacritic score is really high, but those of people who played it on PC, like myself included, note that the port was poor. It's a really bad port, and the score on Metacritic reflects that. So I don't know whether that's the issue with it. I know it's quite divisive. A lot of people liked it. You liked it, Liam?
Yeah, I played the PC version.
Oh, did you?
Yeah, with a bit of tinkering. It was actually not too bad in
with
the
a
end.
bit of tinkering. What do you say? What do you mean by a bit of tinkering?
I just go in the config file, change of number.
So you did some programming. you did no programming, and then the game is playable. See, that might be the difference between you and like the normal group of people who might play this game. Like me, for instance, I'm not that advanced that I'd go into a config file and change my game.
So not looking forward to this one. You're not looking forward to it?
Personally not. Mike, you played this one?
Yeah, I played a bit of it, and it was kind of, the Resident Evil formula was interesting. It's something that there's a big theme from the Bethesda conference was like, well, she got though. It's like I may well get it. I may well get it on sale one day or something like that. It's my kind of genre as well, and the first one had a lot of things about it that were good. So I maybe would get into it, but it's not something that was like, wow, I want to play that.
Are you really excited, Liam?
I'm cautiously optimistic, I'd say, because if they could fix some of the design issues that were in the first game, it has the potential to probably be like a very good game. Yeah,
story in the first one was alright, was it?
Yeah, it was actually a lot more deep and complex than it led itself on to be.
Right, okay, so
before we move on, sorry, my hang-up for the game itself was it's supposed to be a horror, it's supposed to be a horror genre, and I don't know if you guys know or not, but like your character has magic powers, so like these like monsters or whatever that's in the world supposed to be scaring you. But
they do look awful. A lot of the things.
They do look awful, but if you've got powers yourself, it just diminishes the scare factor. So don't give me a horror game that I've got superpowers. Give me a horror game that I'm kind of a little bit vulnerable. I've only got a gun. Like Resident Evil, something like that's can be genuinely scary because you're just a normal guy. So that's my problem with the game. I didn't really enter into the horror part of it.
Right, okay, and might probably, it sounds like the ethos of the game, so it's probably going to be more of that in the second one as well, isn't there, probably? Yeah. Although, we're not sure. And then finally, they showed Wolfenstein 2, The New Colossus, which I do admit looked like a fantastic looking game. Wolfenstein 1 kind of had mixed reviews again. A lot of people seem to enjoy it, who I know who played it, but it's not that popular. It didn't do very well.
It's one of those, it's actually surprisingly good kind of games. You'll see it, like if you watch the top 10 lists from that year and stuff like that on YouTube, a lot of them will have it on there because it was like, a lot of people weren't expecting much out of this, but it actually turned out to be really good. And I've heard a few people say that Wolfenstein New Order was a very enjoyable first-person shooter that was criminally underrated and things like that.
Yeah,
so
I saw that a lot.
hopefully it'll live up to that at the very least by being a very good game that doesn't get enough attention.
Yeah, exactly. So that kind of rounds up Bethesda, and might summarize it was kind of like but what else? There was a lot, unless you like Skyrim, a lot.
And the fact that they announced that paid, or they didn't announce paid mods, they kind of denied it, but
snuck it in, and that's what's worse,
that took a lot of the good feeling out of it for me. It was a shitty move. It's a shitty thing that they tried to do before, and they're trying to do it now again. Everyone was onto it. Everyone cottoned onto it, and they've got a lot of negative headlines because of it.
Yeah.
Fucking learn your lesson, Bethesda. Just don't do it.
Yeah. Why was Spaceland? Yeah. Right. So then PC Gaming had a sort of floor show, not as big a conference as the rest, but there was certainly some notable titles. So just to try and speed things up, I'm not going to mention every single game, but I'm going to note the ones that I know that you guys are interested in. So we saw some XCOM 2 DLC. Mountain Blade 2 Bannerlord got a little bit more gameplay. Still no release date, but we did see some tasty horse battle action.
It looked beautiful, didn't it?
It looks nice. And it's something we haven't seen before.
Yeah.
Last time we saw the sieges and
that's right.
castles.
It's only a small snippet of the game. The game itself is a lot bigger. There's more to it. This is just one small battle. So don't let this. Don't think that this is representative of the game itself. There's a grand campaign map. There's a character, your own character. You've got to build up your army and things like that. So if you obviously it looked amazing. Really excited for that game. I wish they showed some more of the gameplay.
Yeah, and it's playable on the floor all week. So maybe soon we'll see some gameplay taken and put on YouTube by somebody else.
Yeah.
We then saw, speaking of gameplay that you'll find on YouTube soon, Total War Warhammer 2 got a release date. 28th of September.
Yeah.
You guys have already had some hands-on time with the game, so I'm sure that wasn't exciting for you. A lot of people thought they were going to be announcing the fourth race to Skaven, and they didn't, right?
They didn't announce it.
No.
I don't know why. Ian was on the stage, though, wasn't he? Ian, the dude with the hat? He was one of the guys that we met, which was quite cool because it was like, I met that guy. Yeah. That was awesome.
Warhammer's got. I don't know why they're being so secretive about the fourth race. Like they're teasing it really hard, and everyone knows it's going to be Skaven, and they're just. I don't know what. It's not even that exciting to me, really. I'm sure it's going to be fun to play them, but it's like.
It's not going to be tricking anyone. Yeah. Then we saw some PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds updates. Vaulting. There was a new gun. There was some jumping.
Finally,
which is exciting, you guys.
It's much needed.
That's it. We saw some more Sea of Thieves. We saw 3 minutes to the last night, and then there was a game that kind of piqued your guys' interest specifically called Islands, spelt Y-Lands, which is a kind of low poly looking.
So this is what we were talking about earlier, isn't it, with Sea of Thieves, and
it looks a little bit like Grow Home co-op crafting kind of game.
Yeah,
good sense of humour.
More game mechanics than Sea of Thieves, done less cheesily, I guess.
It kind of it's got that Escape from Monkey Island stuff, Monkey Island business going on about it. That kind of, I don't know. It just kind of reminded me of that a little bit, I suppose. And it actually made me laugh once, which is once more than any other game in the show. It has made me laugh. So that's good, and it looks very interesting. Spelling it with a Y.
Why?
Islands from the
I don't know.
Makers of Arma 3.
From the makers of Arma 3.
This is what's so exciting about it. It's like they put so much detail in. Like it's such a realistic game as Arma 3. This is the exact opposite. So how much of that experience that they've got making Arma 3 are they going to carry over to this game?
This is interesting, right? So they actually asked the guy that on stage, and he was like, "Well, if the creativity that the player has is the same in both games. So Arma games, you make your own fun. It's about learning the tools and the mechanics, what you've got at your disposal, and getting your own fun out of that. And this is exactly, they said, like, we learn how to do that in Arma, and we're carrying that over to this game. So that's interesting. So if it's good, it's obviously not going to have that like level of depth that Arma's got, but it's going to. You'd imagine there's a lot of things to, like you said, there's a lot of things to do and a lot of things to mess around with and play with. There's animals and stuff, isn't there?
Yeah,
and there's chopping away at trees and things. So it's a busy game at the least.
Yeah, it seems like something that a lot of people are going to be wanting to see a lot more of. So then we saw a couple of other games. Lawbreakers then got announced, and probably the highlight of that was, in fact, your boy Cliffy B, of course.
Yeah.
Our boy Cliffy
going in and
dropping the B-bombs.
Dropping loads of stuff, saying that, I'm not having one of those bullshit marketing betas that was like a week before release because they can't fix anything. And then,
it's awesome that he said that. I like that.
And then he said, no, $60.
It's going to be $29.99. None of that $60 online.
So Lawbreakers is an online-only shooting.
Yeah.
Let's have loads of testing.
It's very fast.
Yes.
It's very quick quick game. But Cliffy B's like that's what his reputation is built around, is making claims like that, and just he kind of has a laugh.
He's
and
a
stuff.
real one, isn't he?
Just
We kind of ended the PC gaming showcase on Age of Empires, Age of Empires 4 Definitive Edition, which everyone thought was Age of Empires 4. At least I and some people on my Twitter did. So it was the sort of wall of low at the beginning, and I was thinking, I was only talking to Gaz yesterday about how I wanted the new Age of Empires, and then it was just a HD remaster of the old one. And
they built that up
so that was very
hard.
Disappointing.
It was disappointing. Hopefully we will see a new Age of Empires, because it's like, I don't know, for me it's like,
why not?
Yeah, exactly. Why not? So that was a PC gaming show. We did skip a few there, but if you are interested, check out the whole conference.
As a whole, the conference was very awesome. I really enjoyed it. The pacing was really good. Every 5 minutes, a new game, a new bit of detail, and then they moved on.
Had a good range, didn't it? All kinds of different stuff.
It was really good.
A good 20 games, a lot of different stuff by the looks of it.
Even though my biggest complaint was the presenter, I can't remember what his name is. Everything was awesome. Everything, he was super excited for everything.
Excited.
Oh, that's so awesome.
Super excited.
My God, that's so awesome. Oh, that is awesome. That's like his assessment on everything. That was annoying, but otherwise, it was great.
That was annoying.
He was too happy and too excited. Next, Ubisoft had conference. Ubisoft are sort of supervillains of this thing by most people's admission. However, Ubisoft did do a pretty fair job. They had 11 games, including one title which is highly anticipated, and we'll come to that in a little bit. The conference started with Shigeru Miyamoto. A lot of people consider him the godfather of games.
Yeah. Any conference that starts with Shigeru Miyamoto coming on stage is bloody good.
Him and Igamo sort of had a little photo shoot opportunity, and then they announced Mario and Rabbids Kingdom Battle, which is an XCOM style shooter where it looked like it was going to be a kid's game from all the dopey looking rabbits. They were kind of like minions or whatever. Yeah. But then the gameplay actually looks like it's got depth. It's got strategy.
It looks decent. It looks hilariously decent.
It does look good.
That's one for this. So that's it. What can you say?
Yeah.
I've been waiting for a decent game to come on the Switch that I've been interested in. This is the first time that I've been interested in buying a game. Since I got the thing, so I'm excited for this game.
You would have expected it.
And I think the important thing for me is it's like for the people who played XCOM 2 and found it too hard, like myself. Yeah. They've got this alternative you can play as Mario now, and it's a bit more fun. So
I'm not taking any more shit from you about being bad at games ever again.
All I'm saying is, I hope that's Gaz's game of the year, because if Gaz's game of the year is Nintendo and Ubisoft together, then it will be the funniest thing ever. So then after that, there was Assassin's Creed Origins, but we've already talked about that. There was The Crew, there was 2 South Park games, Foam Destroyer and The Fractured Butthole. And then we saw Transference, which seems interesting. Elijah Wood sort of manned the trailer.
Yeah, did look awesome.
Fun fact, his brother works at Sony. That's one for you guys. And he's worked on a game before. He voiced the character in Broken Age. This is a VR experience. Kind of looks cerebral, psychological, horror thriller. And
themed, very good.
Fourth wall break when he's like talking about, we were working with Ubisoft and we did some research on there. So all that like integrated into the actual game itself.
And what do we think of that? Good?
Yeah,
looking forward to that. Yeah. That's one of the reveals where one of the moments of V3 is like, this is an awesome game and I can't wait to play this game. Yeah. That's what V3 is all about.
It's a new game. You had no idea about this. That's what I really like. So that's one of the reasons why Ubisoft was a surprise package.
Yeah, exactly, because then Ubisoft did that again. They got 2 in a row. They had a 1-2 combo with Skull and Bones.
Yeah.
A new pirate IP.
Out of the blue.
Yeah, the deep blue. And then so at first they had this big showy cinematic, and I kind of thought, is that it? But then no, they showed some gameplay. It looked like there was a sort of 5v5 ship battles. Mike, on reflection, you think it's kind of going to be like the For Honor model? Maybe?
Yeah, that was my. It was. I didn't feel like that immediately. I was just thinking, finally they've made a Black Flag game, and I was thinking about, hang on a minute, this is online only. This is 5v5 multiplayer battles, living seamless systemic world. Oh god, this is like. It's all this For Honor. I was just thinking about For Honor, and it just. This is the problem with their like whole strategy as a company of having live games, pretty much exclusively. So it's. Other than like what they're doing with Far Cry and Assassin's Creed and stuff. So this is something that I want to be a good game. I wanted For Honor to be a good game, and I thought it was when I was playing the beta. I was enjoying it. I want this to be great.
Okay,
I'm afraid it won't be.
Let's set aside your fears for the game, and based on the gameplay itself.
Yeah.
Did it not look awesome?
Yeah, it's incredible. If you've played Black Flag, it is basically even the UI and HUD elements and stuff were very similar, right? But it just, it's an evolution. So it's more detail. Obviously, the water looks really nice. It looked incredible. There's something about the, being a pirate is something that not many games have hit on, recently, which is probably why Black Flag was, enjoyed by so many people, like, because it just like ticked the box that a lot of people didn't have before. So you got like Sid Meier's Pirates and stuff like that. But when you're like on the deck of a ship, you're like turning the wheel. Your left and right is literally turning the ship, or in either direction, and you're firing cannons, broadsides and stuff. Letting go of the wheel and then boarding other ships and stuff. That's incredible. So hopefully it can do all that, but some new stuff as well. Just
Yeah, it's one of the ones that we're going to be watching closely now.
Definitely,
based on the gameplay. Yeah. It looks awesome.
It's a very good reveal.
Yeah, it was a very good reveal. Let's just reserve judgment. Let's hope they don't Ubisoft the fuck out of it, right?
Yeah, that's
right.
it. Right. Skull and Bones has got a beta that you can sign up to now.
I feel like I'm trying to throw shit on a wall and trying to stick and nobody's jumping on it. Like Ubisoft in it, don't Ubisoft things, guys. It's to Ubisoft it. Anyway. That's the last time I'm going to say Ubisoft.
I didn't even realise it was a joke. I thought you just meant it like Ubisoft was like doing words, don't you?
Yeah, that's it. I'm trying to get it to stick, but nobody else is using it. That's the joke. But,
so sorry, dude. I am.
Nobody else cares for me rewriting.
It's getting to a meta level where you're Ubisofting.
I'm Ubisofting the Ubisoft. Yeah, that's true.
We then saw Starlink Battle for Atlas, which was like No Man's Skylanders sort of spacey toy games.
That's very good.
Yeah, that's been in the background.
Look at that smile on his face. He's like, yeah, I did.
No Man's Skyland's the toy space game. Jokingly said to Mike it was No Man's Sky 2, but it wasn't funny. Far Cry 5.
I laughed. I just didn't write it down in the text message.
I appreciate your time. We saw some Far Cry 5 gameplay, and Gaz, you couldn't have said it any better to me in the office. That's exactly how I thought. It was like serious, and it's a serious topic. Heathens, extremists, human sacrifice, all that sort of stuff.
Yeah, the guy came on stage, didn't he, Dan Hay, and let's say the picture for him, and he's like, oh, they've cut off the phones, they've blocked the roads, you can't get out. And what was the word he swore, didn't he?
People are fucking scared.
People are fucking scared. Like, he's growing all this like tension, and then
it's like fucking Theresa May swearing. That's what I thought. It's the stiffest bit of swearing I've ever seen.
So we turn to the screen, and like the trailer starts running, and like, you see people on their knees getting rounded up and killed, getting battered to death. Yeah. It's like such horrible visions and themes and everything. And then all of a sudden the music starts.
Yeah.
Like, and then like all the cheesy introductions to the characters, like
Fangs for hire. It's goofy as fuck.
Oh, man.
And then it's like there's this like sniper, and then she's like bang bang motherfucker. it's like Nick Frost and Simon Pegg should appear out of nowhere in a minute. It was like what the fuck, and it was like a plane dropping bombs, and it's like death from above.
Yeah.
And it was, it got goofy real quick.
Yeah.
It might as well have had a fucking pickup truck full of, men with pitchforks and some getaway music chasing them at the end.
Did it not?
I don't know. No, I don't know.
Yeah. For me, if it had just kept that serious tone and kind of dealt with those issues in a more serious manner, which, some of the issues that they're dealing with are pretty fucking serious. Like, paying light to it, maybe that's that Ubisoft way, trying to make it like, trying to appeal to the 16, 14, 15-year-old boys who will buy their games. That's kind of, I don't know, it's like keep it a little bit serious, but have it like playful at the same time. It's not for me, but I mean I can see why they're going for that, because it's appealing to the wider demographic, all the school age kids.
It's almost like they've made it and then they kind of want to take the edge off,
yeah,
which is a shame, because
keep it gritty.
Keep it gritty.
That's what I'm saying.
Are you interested in this one?
I think I'm kind of in two minds about it. Like, I think part of the gameplay of Far Cry has always been like really like goofy. Like Far Cry 3, the story was about like being stranded on an island trying to rescue your friends. But then like the gameplay was you get a fucking cassowary coming at you out of the hedge, running at you.
Yeah.
It's like something out of a cartoon.
Yeah, there's all these badgers that are trying to kill you, and like there's Yogi and Reggie and all that, and like you always have all these
but totally the story in Far Cry 4 was very severe. Like it was like the rebel thing, and they were arguing. The rebels were arguing with each other, and it was all like, we're going to leave our people to die or what? And if we go save them, then we're going to lose this outpost over here. We need to defend that out. But there was like all these tough decisions and stuff. But you were like shooting honey badgers and stuff like that, like in your spare time. So it is up and down. But like maybe just in terms of the actual revealing it, maybe it wasn't such a good idea to have like someone going, people are fucking scared, and then like 2 minutes later, there's like ridiculous music and memes all over the place.
Memes, yeah, too many memes for me. So that was Far Cry 5, but there's going to be a lot more gameplay reveals. There was even an extra on IGN a little bit later on when they revealed that there'll be no towers to climb and stuff like that. So that's Far Cry 5. They really.
I love that is like
that was like a headline for them. Yeah.
Towers.
So there's that.
God,
finally, Ubisoft ended with a really anticipated game, and if you know, you know. Beyond Good and Evil 2.
Yep.
15 years of waiting. It was finally announced. It's cinematic only trailer, no gameplay, but yeah, Beyond Good and Evil 2. If you know, you know, don't you? This is what I'm saying.
If you know, you know, Jake.
If you know, you know. It's the Jake special.
Let's move on.
Like for me, I didn't know, so I didn't fucking know.
Exactly. Michael Ansel came out and he cried because, or Michelle Ansel, however you want to say his name, because it's been such a long wait. It was so well received by everybody that played it. A beloved game. It's finally getting a sequel. There's a lot of changes to be made to it. I'm sure we'll go into that one another day when they reveal more stuff. What we do know, though, is it's kind of like a sort of cyberpunk, weird future world.
Weird. It's the animals that make it weird, isn't it?
Talking animals, and they want it to be kind of an online game only. So Beyond Good and Evil 2, if you know, you know. Finally. So, anything you want to say about Ubisoft before I move on to Sony real quick?
Yeah, Beyond Good and Evil 2, online world. I'm just spelling that out.
Online world.
Coherent multiplayer online world.
As a conference, though, they did well. They did light relief with the dancing.
I forgot to mention how did I forget the bloody dancing?
The dancing, it was alright. It was some
the pandas and stuff.
It was entertainment. It wasn't just like this is a game. It was like let's be entertained by like dancing
and singing.
Whatever
her name was, Bebis.
Yeah. Oh yeah. They did well. They announced some
lot
new
of
games.
Substance, a lot of new stuff.
Minimal cringe.
No, very
Miyamoto on stage.
A couple of passionate people crying about
the
games.
There was a lot of tears, and that was very cute.
Who doesn't want that?
A lot. I really like that. And then there was the
surprise package of the thing for me. Actually, Ubisoft.
Yeah, exactly. It was. I felt like I was being brainwashed. You know, I was like, I shouldn't be.
That is the whole point. Though,
They did their job then. Didn't they?
And like I say, Nintendo haven't gone off yet, so I'm going to say, and finally for this one, it was Sony. 2 a.m. our time. Sony announced 17 games, quite a few VRs. It was quite a strong showing, I'd say. Let's do VR as a package. So as you know, they've got PSVR. They've sold 1 million copies, and then they announced Starchild VR, Bravo Squad VR, the Inpatient VR, which is like an Until Dawn prequel, Moss VR, this really highly anticipated fishing game from Final Fantasy 15, Monsters of the Deep. People are going wild about that. Liam's been trying to remortgage a house. It's been going crazy. But then they also announced Skyrim, again you may say, VR, which has took things up a whole other level for a lot of people. Gaz, I know you especially.
Yeah, I'm really excited about this because it's one of the experiences that I wanted from a VR. I've got VR. This is what I want. I want exactly this game, and they announced it. I woke up with a smile on my face when I saw it, and that is it. Whether Mike enjoys the fact that it's another version of Skyrim out there in the world that he can criticize.
It's the least annoying, right? Yeah. It's the least annoying because VR is a different kettle of fish, and it's not like just playing it normally. I'm annoyed about the Switch one. I'm not. I'm annoyed about the way they're handling the Switch one. Yeah. If they were just, there's Skyrim coming, by the way, that's great. But they've revealed it multiple times. There's more game. They were showing it off in E3 without a release date. Like, who fucking cares? We know what it is. We know that it's Skyrim and it's coming to the Switch. And all right, you got Zelda's, Link's sword and all that stuff. But
what I love about it though is that all those naysayers about VR, all those people are saying VR will never take off. It'll never be supported. People will never buy these games. This is support for VR. Skyrim is a fully fledged AAA game. Fully supported in VR. It's going to be full game mechanics. You're going to be able to zap people with your powers from your left hand and like axe them with your right hand. It's going to be
a good fit,
awesome. And the fact that they're doing this for VR, I've got to applaud them. It's awesome. Bethesda, you're doing awesome for VR. You're doing shitty other things.
Yeah, your conference was shite. But,
Bethesda. But
you're doing this, and I've got to applaud. I love it. I love the fact that we can put all those negative people.
Bethesda games are a very good fit for VR overall. Fallout and
I love it.
Skyrim.
Yeah.
So
if I could pick one game to put in VR, I would have picked Skyrim.
Yeah.
If I could pick one game to,
me too.
It's like there's so much exploration to be done in that game, and even as someone who's played it in intricately. I've played like well over like 150 hours on Steam or something like that.
Yeah.
I know the game very well. I would still want to go into it and play it in VR. I wouldn't want to play it on on a Switch, but it's, that the VR is a different different thing.
So that was Sony representing VR, which is something that quite a lot of companies have been doing, and it's been really good. They also kind of
Sony got their own hardware though, isn't it? That's the difference. They need to support their own stuff.
Yeah,
and they are doing it.
Yeah, and another thing, before we move off of VR, before the conference itself, there was like a press kind of announcements, and they announced Hidden Agenda, which is like we kind of touched on. Again, it's another VR. They're supporting VR. This PS Play Link thing where you can couch co-op games through your phone and stuff, and that again looks awesome. So VR, big thumbs up for PlayStation again for supporting VR. I'm passionate. Can you tell?
Yeah, no. I'm 100%. Completely biased towards PlayStation this time around. I think this is the best showing because the games I'm about to mention now, every single one of them I would buy tomorrow if they were out. They shocked everybody when they announced Shadow of the Colossus total remake from the ground up.
Yeah.
That's the first thing I saw this morning when I woke up. Liam, I know that you watched it live.
I did, yeah.
So when I woke up, I had all the games in front of me, one click away, and the first one I went to straight away, Shadow of the Colossus remake, and oh my god, does it look good.
Oh man, I know. Those Colossi look incredible. Like the fur, like the runes on their bodies and everything. Oh, it's
great. It's made by Blue Point, not Blue Hole, are the people that made PlayerUnknown's.
It's a lot of Blue Studios.
Blue Point, who are known for doing really good remasters and HDifying stuff, right? So they brought out Ico and Shadow of the Colossus in HD, but that wasn't enough for them. They were like, no, let's do this from the ground up, and their passion for the game kind of shows. Really, it looks
definitely
cool.
Yeah.
You guys interested in that?
I don't think they just couldn't get away with just doing HD remaster. At least if they wanted to sell it in a box, they might have been able to do it on the PS Store. But if you're going to sell this again as a £30 hopefully box title. You gotta put the effort in. So I think that's what they're doing. Yeah. They did it with PlayStation have done it really well. Ratchet and Clank, as I keep saying, but it's a great remake. They've remade the game, and that's what they're doing again.
And for you guys, you didn't play the original, and I think if you went back to it now, it'll do nothing for you. So maybe a remake will get you on board, or is it not interesting to you at all?
I didn't actually watch the full trailer. Ask me after I watched it. I guess I'm not interested. I would say right now, but.
Yeah.
Who knows?
Yeah, I think that'll change. I have faith. However, let's talk about a game that we do know that you like, and it's I've got to agree with you. This game looks amazing. Days Gone. Let's talk about it.
This was my highlight of the whole.
Yeah.
Seeing proper gameplay from Days Gone. Again, I mentioned it in the standalone video that we did about it. Yeah, it showed off so much gameplay. It looks almost ready to go. So at the start of the trailer, or the gameplay trailer. You're going out looking for a guy who's gone looking for rations, and you got to try and the trailer you see him saving his mate. But it takes you through like some of the hand-to-hand combat. It takes you through some of the stealth mechanics. It takes you through some of the the zombies versus the human bad guys factions that you play off against one another. And it showed off a lot of the game mechanics. I love that about a trailer. All these cinematic trailers can go and screw themselves as far as I'm concerned. I want to see gameplay. That's what they did, and they did it really well. It's got that gritty tone to it. I like grit. I like the bikers theme. I said all this last week, and I've said it all before. I'll say it again now. This has done nothing but make me more excited for the game.
Yeah, it's something that I think PlayStation excel at E3. They have a chunk of the game, and they show it you. They did it with Last of Us in 2013, 2012, and it looks like Days Gone has took a lot of inspiration from Horizon and Last of Us without feeling like a rip-off. Like how Anthem, a lot of people criticise it for looking like so much of things that it looks like nothing. Yeah. Days Gone's kind of already got its own character, and
it's true. Very true.
It's certainly got my attention, and I love that it looks nice and gritty. I like the pine trees, and I like the fucking hordes of running zombies. I mean, come on.
Rollback and the biker theme is awesome.
Yeah,
I think that's why State of Decay 2, for example, doesn't really do anything for me, but this one does, is that it's carving its own personality, and the hordes of zombies are kind of different. They're just like, that's a lot of zombies, that's a lot of, that's like a they feel like more aggressive or something. Like they're
it's
just
like
coming
28
at
days
you.
later, they're rage-filled, they're legging it after you.
But they're not actually zombies. That's the thing. I think I saw somewhere. They're not actually zombies. They're just like they're a different kind of zombie. So you can shoot them in the leg, and they will like go. You shoot them in the heart, and they will go down and die. Like they're like creatures, but they're not like full like zombies, flesh-eating things. They're kind of zombie type
That's
creatures.
Like 28 days later. It's just rage, isn't it?
Yeah.
They're just people that are so angry they can't think of anything else. So like you can just chop the legs off and they're dead. So
sounds so ridiculous.
They're so cross.
They are well annoyed.
Yeah. So we also saw Horizon Zero Dawn's like big DLC expansion. It kind of reminded me of
Blood and Wine.
And Wine. The Witcher 3.
Yeah.
Next one, it came after the game by a long shot. It looks like this is out a little bit later on this year.
Especially considering the fact they had completed the game by the time it came out, and they were polishing it for a few weeks.
It looks like a great way of giving people DLC, and it looks very interesting. There was the return of Aloy. It got an applause. You could hear the crowd go mad for that. And it's already a fan favourite, and it looks like they've expanded on it. Are you guys looking forward to playing it?
I definitely am.
See the reviews. If they're good, I'll give it a shot.
Yeah, I want some more Horizon.
Yeah, you can't have enough, can you? You're a big fan
I'm
of
ready
this
for
game,
it.
man.
Yeah.
We also saw Monster Hunter World, which is what looks like it's going to be the definitive Monster Hunter experience. Nice, beautiful graphics. Not on Nintendo for a change. They've clawed it back. Nintendo had exclusive rights for a while, and this is going to please a lot of people. I spent quite a lot of time on a PSP or PS Vita, I can't remember which one. Playing this with my friend, and
PSP,
I had some really good memories with it. And although not that good that I can remember the console, and it'll be really good to see this on my telly, playing it with a controller. Looking forward to that. We also saw Call of Duty World War II, which kind of gave everybody here the same. Oh yeah, it is a Call of Duty game.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. I do feel a little bit less, just slightly less enthusiastic for the game after seeing that. It's just vintage Call of Duty, and I mean that by the same trailer that we've seen the last 10 years. It's like just like explosions every 0.8 seconds. There's like running constantly, and all this like scripted cinematic gameplay where there's like he's loading his shotgun dramatically and then going around the corner and taking someone out. It's that kind of.
There's going to be a man with a knife trying to stab you, and you've got to press square.
There's a sergeant shouting in your face like "Get up, soldier!" It's all that stuff.
So we saw a little bit more. We also saw Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite. We saw Destiny 2, although nothing really stand out for
Story-wise, it was just some more
a little bit of world building, lore building. We saw Detroit Become Human. Again, kind of annoying. We didn't see loads of it. Not enough. Not what I wanted. No release date.
I feel I'm quite intrigued by the choices, the way they've been set out in this one so far. It's like I don't know if it's you get enough room to maneuver yourself. You can move the character. That's really important to me in these games for some reason. I want to feel like I am moving the character and I'm not like set in this one frame and I can move 2 steps to the left or right. I want to move like I can explore the area a little bit. And it looked like the way the choices are represented on screen is quite nice. Like there's a silhouette of the guy ducking there. There's a silhouette of the guy running away in that direction. So you make your choice based on a visual representation, which I quite like. Again,
looks like it's really showing you the world, but it's not showing you much of the
exactly.
Yeah. But again, it's a David Cage game, so it's probably going to be really story heavy. And the less story they can spoil, the better.
Yeah.
Because of course that's half of the gravity of Detroit Become Human is going to be, I'm sure, the tangled web of story. So again, kind of bitter that I didn't get to see a release date for that. But
I want them to take the time. They've built this engine from the ground up. The graphics are some of the best graphics that I've ever seen. And if they can pull it off on the PS4 Pro, then fair play to them. Let them take their time. Don't get annoyed with them for not telling you some lies about when they think things are going to be released.
Right.
Let them finish the game and let's enjoy it together.
Okay. I think you're right. I think you took me down. So let's ramp it back up with. There's only two games left, guys. So we've tried to be as quick as we can, and if we've missed out any favourites, we are sorry. Well, at least I am. God of War. God of War next, which was exactly what I wanted to see. I was really, really, really happy with this. And this game kind of looks tailor-made to my taste. I love it. I love the Norse mythology. I loved God of War. And this showed off some more gameplay, some more Kratos father and son moments. You saw the huge battles with like different types of monsters. A lot of story, and then of course, big, huge snake that was holding the world together. And you find out he is in fact an ally of Kratos, the God of War.
Which was exciting.
It was awesome, and that to me, that's a sell. If I had to pre-order one game, not I will, guys. But if I had to pre-order one game based on what I saw at E3, it would be this.
That's a strong statement, Jake.
Yeah,
that is a strong statement.
Yeah. Honestly, it really sold it to me, and I know what I can expect from it now.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter what they do to the story. I know what the gameplay is going to be like. I've seen enough from that.
Yeah.
To gather it. So I don't know if you guys made anything of that, or was it kind of I've kind of ramped it a bit, but
it just confirmed to me that it is God of War again. You know, I was like, that is all God of War. Yes. But that's not bad, you know. I know what it is, and I don't know whether I'd pre-order it or anything that I saw really, but it's just something that's, you know, I like that they're showing a lot of it off, like they're showing the gameplay. That's how this is a fast, visceral combat, as you'd expect. And they showed a little bit more of the relationship with the father and son stuff, and that's cool. You know, it's just more of it. Really.
The only crux of the thing with God of War is I don't know if it's going to be sort of like a Last of Us sort of situation where Ellie, you didn't get pissed off by her because she was awesome and she could just do stuff.
Yeah.
It wasn't like you were just dragging around some knobhead that couldn't do anything. And I hope that the son isn't a knobhead.
Well, he says
I hope he can do stuff. I hope he can do stuff.
He says in the trailer, "Wait here, I'm just going to take care of this," doesn't he? I think you're right. I hope that's not. I'm going to have to actively say wait here or follow me or any of that bollocks.
You don't want a game that's an escort quest.
Yeah, none of that.
Okay, so why don't we end it exactly how Sony ended it on the last reveal, which was another anticipated game, some gameplay as well. Spider-Man, wasn't it, Liam?
It was Spider-Man.
And I know that you like this. Insomniac Games made it, who are responsible for the many Ratchet and Clank games that they did and a bunch of other good stuff. They've got their stripes, haven't they? People like Insomniac. They also made Spyro the Dragon. You know, favourite of ours. But I gotta say, we saw some gameplay. I know that you said, Mike, that you weren't that interested in quick time events, but as for the fluidity of it all, what do you guys make of it?
Well, it looked familiar because of the Arkham formula. It looks like it's following that closely, but with all that kind of. It looks like you've got a lot of freedom to explore and stuff, and there's a lot of detail in the environments, which I was a big fan of. Spider-Man, it kind of makes sense. Was it you that pointed this out, Liam? It kind of makes sense with Spider-Man doing that Batman Arkham stuff. Was that you? Which one of you guys said that? Yeah. But it was like it's because he's like an acrobatic, quick reactions. It makes sense that he's like bouncing from one to the other a bit more than
muscle bound oath with Kevlar.
Batman's like sliding around. It looks more video gamey when Batman does it, whereas with this, it looks like that's how Spider-Man fights. So that's cool. And it's got all that kind of stealth takedowns and stuff that you've got in the Arkham games. But it looks cool. I think as far as superhero games go, a Spider-Man game is one that I would think. Yeah, that's I'd get into that. I think it was a very good reveal all in all. It was a good bit of gameplay, so you had a good idea of what it was like.
Yeah, I'm possibly one of the only ones that has very little interest in this game.
I'm with you. I'm finding myself, aligning myself very much with your train of thought on this conference. I was really into Days Gone, not so much Spider-Man.
Yeah, I guess it's
Skyrim. I'm a big fan.
I didn't play Arkham. I didn't play any of the Batman ones.
I played two of them. I played the first Spider-Man game, but it's not for me.
I mean, it looks cool. Yeah. But whether that translates into good gameplay or not is another question.
That Arkham system was so successful that it's in like Shadow of Mordor. It's in the Assassin's Creed transformed gradually from what the Assassin's Creed, which kind of was like Arkham to begin with, but it went like full fat. Like it was, they just kind of. It was such that you stand in the middle, there's a group of guys around you waiting for their turn to get decked, and then you just jump around kicking all their asses. It's so satisfying, rhythmic. It's so successful, precisely because it feels very good to do it, and you feel like you are a badass when you're taking all these people down. It doesn't feel too easy. I would argue anyway. It doesn't feel too easy.
For me, I guess the only thing that ever puts me off is like you said, they're all waiting their turn. That's not how they would do it in real life. They'd all just pile on.
No, but it is how they would do it in comic books. They would that's.
And that's probably
you ever watch TV's Adam West?
That's probably the reason I'm not interested because one of us is drinking out of a comic book cup and I'm not. So
you got a Mr. Men, yeah?
I've got a Mr. Men cup.
You got a Mr. Men cup.
We're together.
It's a great coincidence.
We're brethren today.
Yeah.
Marvel, DC. Mr. Man.
Mr. Man, that's it. I mean, if there was a Mr. Man game, I'd be totally on board.
And on that bombshell,
Time for a break.
Is this where we end? Is this where we're going to have a break? We're going to answer some questions?
Yeah, we're going to have a break now, and we're going to come back in just a moment with Jake and I to answer the questions, because Liam and Micah both have more pressing matters.
I don't know if we mentioned it this episode. E3's happened, and there's like a lot of videos to edit and whatnot. So
they're going to take their leave.
Respect to you guys.
Yeah. Thanks for joining us. Liam and Mike are going to go, and
Later.
we will answer a shit load of questions. All right, see you in a moment. Hello, and welcome back to part 2 of the Pretty Good Gaming E3 special podcast. It's a bit of a long one today, and we've got plenty to do. So Mike and Liam have gone to edit, and it's just going to be me and Gaz for the Patreon questions.
Apologies for the pacing of the last part. An hour and a half, we fit so much information in for the podcast, and the two guys, Liam and Mike, needed to get back to their editing, because we're hopefully getting a couple of videos out for you guys on the channel in 2 hours time before we leave work. So it was a bit of a push, and hopefully you can sense that we're a little more relaxed now, because we're not under the pressure.
Yeah, we haven't got that. So I've never spoken so fast in my life, and
well, you'd be surprised, dude. You do talk pretty fast a lot of the time.
Yeah. So we're gonna work our way through the questions, okay? And we'll just start in order that I've read them. So
so these are the Patreon questions for those of you.
Yeah.
Who don't know, the supporters on Patreon get access to, asking us questions on these podcasts. They get access to the podcast 1 week early. So we really appreciate people supporting us on Patreon. It really enables us to bring you the content that we do on a more regular basis. We can't ever rely on the ads off YouTube, the AdSense off YouTube, because all the political shit that's going on YouTube at the moment. It's not a guaranteed income. So for those of you who do go out there and support us on Patreon, we really, really appreciate it. So as part of the as part of the return for you guys going out there, it's we answer your questions. Also, there's a Discord channel which you can chat with us on a day-to-day basis anyway. So and play games with us as well.
Games, yeah. Teach us how to play games. Yeah. Teach Jake how to play PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds.
That's right.
Yeah.
For those of you interested in giving Jake a gaming lesson, head over to patreon.com/prettygoodgaming.
Yeah. So let's jump into it. Vinny Bartels says, "What type of launch do you think is better? An extremely polished game that lacks content initially, like Overwatch or Destiny, or a game with loads of content, but it's buggy or glitchy initially, like Skyrim or Assassin's Creed Unity?"
Neither.
Yeah.
We want to avoid those situations completely. We want finished games with all complete gameplay and polished as much as possible. We should never accept any of what you've outlined above. I think it's wrong. They should go back to the old style of releasing games and not rely on having to patch games a few weeks, a few months in. If like as a question to the office the other day, I said, I wonder how many fixes that a game like Dishonored 2 has had since it launched. It's like patch 1.08 now or something. Yeah. And I wonder how many actual fixes to the game that's included. It's got to be in the hundreds. And other games as well. Why did they do this? Why did they allow their developers, why do they publish the games in an unfit state? It's not good enough. It shouldn't be accepted.
Yeah,
and
I think Knife is definitely the answer. I think if I had to pick one, I'd pick one that's buggy or glitchy initially, just because we know that that's not intentional. Yeah, it's lazy, but with stuff like Overwatch and Destiny, they're planning on giving us more later. They're planning on taking our money, and I don't think Skyrim, they planned to make it a buggy piece of shit. So one is only accidental, the other is on purpose. So,
well, I mean, you assume that it's accidental, but if you give it enough time, if you give it enough quality control, then there should be no accidents. They should have ironed out all the bugs, because they've played it enough and they've trialed it enough. So, I mean, I guess that's a matter of opinion.
Yeah, but they're both unacceptable.
They're unacceptable.
Yeah. So thanks for your question, Vinny. Next up, Pretty Good Goblins asks.
It's a good name.
Nice name.
It's a pretty good name.
What's your favourite stealth game? I'm discovering that I really like the genre, but still haven't played many of them yet. Stealth game. I think people will be able to answer this for me if you're a long time watching the podcast. I like Tenchu. Really like Tenchu.
This is an older game, though, yeah?
Yeah.
This is... PS2?
PS1. Yeah, it's an old ninja stealth game. Newer games, Splinter Cell was like, even that's 15 years old. Stealth games, that even make them anymore.
Yeah, I
like
mean,
that?
you're talking Hitman, you're talking Assassin's Creed.
Yeah, you've got all stuff like
You know
that.
what I mean? Those type of stealth games. I mean, for me, I'm not a huge fan of the series. I hate stealth in games because, especially on a console game, because you can't look around your shoulder quick enough. You've got to wait for the camera to turn really slowly. It's like, I hate that.
You did the turn.
Yeah, I did the slow turn. For those of you watching on screen, yeah, it's slow. I don't get on with stealth. They always see me. I always die. So, Tenchu was awesome though. That was awesome. You can jump on the roof. Like if you jump on the roof, they can't see you. You just find your way to where you want to drop down.
Yeah.
You just drop down. You kill them. And then that's it. Like there's no hiding in bushes and checking over your shoulder and looking at mountains and shit.
Yeah.
No, none of that shit.
There's a couple of good games that are made for stealth. Mostly, what I hate, and I'm sure you'll agree, is like a game when they put stealth in it and it just doesn't really work.
Just shoehorned it in.
Yeah, like if one bad guy sees you, everyone else sees you.
Oh, that sucks.
What the hell is that?
Yeah.
So yeah, there's not really that many. A lot of people think Dishonored is a great stealth game, and I'm not really sure. I agree, but yeah, if you don't mind playing an older game, why don't you have a look at one of the early Splinter Cell games, or Tenchu, which is definitely
Really old game.
Yeah.
But really good.
So thanks for your question. Pretty Good Goblins. Great name. Next up, Tyler Hawkins asks, I guess this excludes a few of the team due to age. Well, they're not here. But to who it applies, did any of you play the classic MMORPGs, like old MMORPGs, like EverQuest or Ultimate Online? Did you ever play any of those?
I didn't.
My older cousin, 7 years older than me, and I always looked up to him, and he had a computer and he played Ultimate Online all the time, and I used to sit and watch him and annoy him probably, and I always thought one day when I get a computer of my own, I'll be able to play Ultimate Online. And by then there was all sorts of games out, like bloody RuneScape and World of Warcraft was in the making and stuff. I used to play this old MMO from 1998 called Tibia. No one in the office knows this. Hardly anyone knows this. I've sunk about 1,000 hours into this MMO. Spent loads of time on it as a sort of kid, teenager. Tibia. It's been around since 1998. It's still going now. And I was playing it so early on. It's like a 2D MMO. And so, yeah, if you like old RPGs and you've heard of Tibia, let me know, because that'll be a funny conversation.
Yeah, the old MMOs that I used to play, Earth Above and Beyond, loved it. Star Wars Galaxies, loved it.
Yeah.
Those are the two that I remember more than any.
Yeah, they're old. Stephen Buford Jones asks, hello again. Hi. Would you guys ever consider a pretty good meetup where all the fans could meet up for free drinks with you guys and just talk about games and shit?
If people were up for that and people wanted that, it would be awesome. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I would definitely.
I'm a community spirited kind of guy. I love inclusivity.
Yeah.
So I think joy, and I love meeting people too.
Yeah.
I've done it on a couple of occasions before with my my other channel where we've had a meet up, and it's awesome to get to meet people from different backgrounds and see what our content means to them. It would be great to talk just in general about games and people who are like-minded. We had went to London not so long ago, Mike and I, to try out Total War Warhammer 2 before anybody with like early access thing for YouTubers. So some of the YouTubers there were into gaming, and they had the same background as us, like building a living out of doing YouTube type stuff, and just talking to those guys, having the same kind of interests, which a lot of you guys would have too. It was just awesome. It wasn't just like superficial discussions about games. It was like in-depth game mechanic type discussions, like what was great about this game and why the other game wasn't so great. And it was a really detailed conversation, and it felt really really in depth. And that's the kind of conversations that you will have with people with the same mindset, such as you guys. So that kind of thing would definitely... Where would it be, though?
Definitely be doable.
Where would we do it, though? Like in Rill?
Yeah, near my house in Rill.
Go to Liverpool or something, or Manchester.
Yeah, a city like that. I don't know. Maybe we can dream it up, guys.
Yeah, let us know what your ideas would be. What would be your ideal? Because a place like Liverpool or Manchester might be an hour and a half
journey or something
away from us. Yeah. We could do it. It would be pretty cool. But I don't know. The logistics is an issue. Getting enough people.
We don't know how many people.
And how many people would come. It'd be great,
But yeah, we were up for it, Stephen. So yeah, let it be heard.
The answer would be yes. We would consider it.
Callum Nye says, I've read this before. I like Jake. Liked past tense. This is funny.
I like.
And I didn't truly understand why he got so much flack in the comments, but then he had to go and ruin it by claiming BioShock was bad, as the first is my favourite game. God damn it, Jake. God damn it, Gus. On another note, if you guys could have any game ever remastered with the latest graphics, what would you choose? I'd love to see a Spyro remaster or the Simpsons Hit and Run remaster. I think we might have answered this before, and I said Tenchu.
Tenchu, you've said that a lot since you started working here. Tenchu, and I totally agree.
We just love Tenchu.
I would love a total remaster. Like thinking about it today with all the E3 things going on and all the pirate games. Sid Meier's Pirates, but with a full 3D engine where you've got broadside battles, a bit like.
Yeah, I'm laughing.
Gameplay,
Hold that thought and carry on in a second. I'm just laughing because the next question happens to be, what do you think of Sid Meier's Pirates?
Right. Okay. So this leads in. So who was that?
That was a Free Flying Soul.
So thanks for that question. So this leads into Sid Meier's Pirates. Loved that game. Absolutely loved it. I've played it on so many platforms. I've played the more recent one, like originally back on, was it the Amiga or something? Yeah. I played it on like so long ago. I loved that like Korea type of pirate game mode where you could ally yourself with the different factions. It reminds me a lot of Mount & Blade in the fact that it's a total sandbox. You can do what you want when you want, and you get your reputation, and you amass your wealth, and you gain ranks and things like that. It's exactly a lot like Mount & Blade, which is a lot of the reasons why I like Mount & Blade is because it reminds me of Sid Meier's Pirates in a way. But yeah, for a remaster, I would love that they remastered that. I would love that if they added in the 3D battle mechanics like Skull and Bones.
Oh, Skull and Bones is good.
That gameplay looks awesome. If they could remaster Sid Meier's Pirates in that engine, oh man, that would be awesome.
That's a great answer. And 2 birds with 1 stone. So Callum and a Free Flying Soul. Thanks for your questions. Dan Roberts asks, if you could play a game with anyone, alive or dead, who would it be and what would you play? Red Dead with Clint Eastwood, Dark Souls with Jimi Hendrix, PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds with Skeletor. What have you got?
I don't have much for this question, I'll be honest.
It's I don't really know what to play. I think David Attenborough, right, playing something dead out there and weird.
Spore.
Yeah, something like yeah. No, David Attenborough playing Viva Pinata.
Right. and describing it.
Yes, David Attenborough narrating your time through that. That's a good one.
Living or Dead, maybe like something like a game of Death Stranding with Hideo Kojima would be cool.
That's cheeky. That's a good answer to that. And you'd get hands on with it before everyone else. Well, so yeah, thanks, Dan. That's a good question actually. Stephen Hughes asks, "Hey lads, got a question. What, if any, games have you enjoyed despite its genre? For example, I'm not into racing games, but I have had a great time with Wipeout." I know what you mean. I know this sort of thing. There's a couple of games like this for me, and it's like I'm not normally into this sort of thing. Injustice 2, believe it or not, like from last week's podcast, I don't really like fighting games anymore. Well, I did ages ago, 20 years ago. But yeah, I'm over it now, but I've been playing more and more and more of that, so I don't know, I didn't even expect that to be my answer, but it is.
Okay, I would go with Inside, and I would go with Little Nightmares. Enjoyed those 2 games pretty much. Inside was magnificent. The whole point of the whole title of that game isn't revealed until the last part, until you think about it, until you reflect on it. Wasn't too thrilled with the ending as it happened. Thinking about it now, it was a great ending. So yeah, I enjoyed those. I would play a sequel to Inside and Little Nightmares 2 if I didn't have to pay full price for them.
My game of the year last year was Inside, and they're working on a new game now, kind of based on a guy that lands on a planet, and he's like trying to survive.
Space kind of version of it.
Yeah, exactly the same play style. So yeah, don't know why I felt that was necessary to say, but there we go.
Yes, side scrollers just aren't my thing. So
that's it. Yeah. Taurus Trio asks, if you got prank called by someone using a soundboard of a well-known game character, what would you do?
Wow, so you got some great questions.
Yeah, that's so laughing.
You've got to think about these questions in real
time,
properly, deeply before you answer.
There's this video of.
Can you say the question again? Sorry.
So it's just like, how would you react if you got prank called by somebody using game noises?
Right. So if Joel from The Last of Us called me up.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, someone pretending to be Joel from The Last of Us.
How would they react? I'd lose my shit. Is how I'd react.
It'll be funny, I think. I mean, there's like a video of some guy pranking someone with like Skyrim sound effects and stuff, and like he takes it pretty well. I'd probably be like that. It's like you'd be like, oh, that's Joel from The Last of Us. That's how.
It would be awesome. It would be very awesome.
Yeah, who does that though? Like, surely not many.
Maybe
people
that's something that we should do. Maybe we should plan it out for Mike, and we should get Mike's number and do it in the next podcast. Just phone him.
Yeah, Crash Bandicoot to give him a call. Yeah. So nice one for the question, Taurus Trio. Rudy Manchego. That's such a good name. I always forget to say it correctly. Manchego says best podcast yet.
For last week, yeah. I felt so. It was more relaxed.
Yeah, this week was high octane, wasn't it? But
it was fast paced this week. It was like a runaway train this week. But last week, because we were looking forward to, excited about E3, we were just like talking like, what did we expect? And I think the conversation was more flowing. I think I enjoyed it.
Yeah, it was good, and we had it was the first one in 3 weeks when we were all back together again, the whole team. So that was good. So best podcast yet. I enjoyed the passion and determination behind Skate 4. Well, it meant fuck all, Rudy, because we didn't get it. But I'm glad you did enjoy it. I felt like I was in E3 auditorium, sharing the excitement of the crowd. Also, excellent sandwich choices all round. That's the question he asked last week. Question for this time. At the Pretty Good Gaming Con 2018, what cosplay are you going as? That's a fucking funny.
That's a good question.
It'd have to be something weird. I keep saying Spyro the Dragon for the crap answers on purpose. Like... you know, I always say I dress as Spyro the Dragon. I think that'd be well scary dressing up as Spyro the Dragon. Yeah, but I'm gonna go for Spyro the Dragon because it's funny, isn't it? Can you imagine, a chubby bearded man dressing up as a purple dragon? It'd be dead weird.
Yeah, I'm tempted to say Link from
Link's a good
Zelda,
one.
But me.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying.
Because I'm notorious for hating Nintendo. But. I don't know who would be a good cosplay to do. Who would I?
Chun-Li from Street Fighter. The girl with the blonde hair.
Yeah, no.
Something weird.
No.
No.
No. Now I'm thinking something that plays into my image, someone with a beard, and some decent hair. You know what I mean? I
don't think there's many, is there? To be fair, they've all got beards and they're all.
I'm thinking like a serious character. Something like Joel from Last of Us. Or
Joel from Last of Us is a good
guy
cosplay.
from Days Gone. I don't know what his name is.
Yeah, he's good. He's got the biker jacket.
Yeah, biker. I'm going down for that.
Mike would go as Aloy, wouldn't he? Mike.
He's not able to defend himself, so Mike would go as Aloy.
Mike would go as Aloy, and Liam would go as 2B from Nier Automata. That's definitely what they would say.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So that's a good question. Really, it's a bit out there to think of on the spot, but it was a good question. Phil, simply Phil.
Just Phil.
Says, is there a game mechanic that you thought, whoa, this is amazing when you first saw it and now you feel it's become overused after it being used so much, like quick time events? Yeah, there's shitloads. Crafting is like so boring now. Quick time events is funny because we were just talking about that, weren't we? Like how there's loads of games of it. And another one is the Arkham fighting style, like Assassin's Creed fighting style.
Overused.
At first it was like, whoa, and now... Who's not doing?
For me, skill trees. Skill trees.
Yeah.
I hate skill trees.
Bloody hell, yeah.
Like, why would you want me to sit there for half an hour planning my journey through this skill tree? Like, where do I want to put my points? Like something like Ghost Recon Wildlands, especially because you amass your points by just picking up. You find other people's medals is what you do. You don't earn them yourself. You don't kill people in battle situation scenarios and earn your stripes. You literally take other people's stripes and then you level up with them. That sucks. Like, don't give me that, Ubisoft.
Yeah, that's pretty perfect actually, because I can remember early games like Baldur's Gate and Oblivion and stuff having skill trees in it, and then going, whoa, it's cool that a game that wouldn't normally have skill trees and does. And now it's like, do I really need a fucking skill tree in like Horizon Zero Dawn or something? Can't I just get better by doing it? Do I have to pick?
Exactly, and that's the distinction for me. I think if what was it? It's Fallout 3, Fallout New Vegas, where you're jumping, you get points for jumping. Your jumping goes up. You're sprinting, you get points for sprinting. Your sprinting goes up. Yeah. Like that's the kind of games that we want. Don't give me some shitty skill tree.
Yeah, that's
I don't know.
Best that's the best answer. Wow. Well, we've burnt through these questions. We've only got 2 left. This is quite a long one. And I've got to say, this is from Jasta. And Jasta asked this last week, but stupidly we missed it. So sorry that we answered your question 1 week late, Jasta. But here it is anyway.
And we've left it to last.
No,
Sorry, it's last.
No,
it should have been first.
It's second to last because I didn't want to leave him last. I didn't want to do it to him twice. You see, so I purposely rejigged it. So Jasta says, "I'd like to know your opinions on having cheap special editions of a game without the actual game." No need to read this part on the podcast. It's too late now, mate. I know it sounds crazy, but here's an example. I love Deus Ex. I hate what they've done with the game, but I still love the franchise and the characters. So if they make a sort of new figure or something, I'd like to have it because I love the protagonist, but I hate the way they're handling the game. So maybe I just want the merchandise, but don't support the way that they're doing things. What do you guys think?
We're talking like the Resident Evil mansion that didn't come with the game.
Yeah, they did that, didn't they?
Yeah, we're talking that type of scenario.
I think what if your question is this, if it's what I think it is, it's this: why can't you buy collector's edition of things that come with games separately, like merch? Because I agree. I don't know why things have to be a bonus. Like, like Aloy, you could get a figure, couldn't you? But sometimes you could only get that if you buy the game.
Yeah.
So let's say, like I don't know, Metal Gear Solid, like there's 5 of them.
Yeah.
Maybe you love all 4 of them. You don't want that 5th one. You want to get the collectible. They don't sell them separately, do they? That's a bit of bullshit. And
the fact that they do sell it separately, they're trying to bundle it in on a pre-order just to get your money before the game is finished. So so that they can pull the wool over and maybe not finish the game and still take your money. It's a bullshit practice, is what it is. Which shouldn't be supported. They should allow, if you want these like gimmicky little things for games, I don't know who would want to clutter their shelves up with this.
Yeah.
This stuff. I mean, I haven't got that much time to dust. You know what I mean? I haven't got that much dusting hours in my life to dust this tat that just sits on a shelf. But if you're the kind of guy who wants that, feel free, go ahead. But that should be available to you without having to pre-order a game. That should be available from the Disney store or something. Like you get a Mickey Mouse toy or something.
Yeah, you can just buy it on. When you buy a T-shirt of a band you like, you don't have to buy the album. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
They shouldn't do stuff like that. And kind of segue into that is, I always find it weird how like when a game comes out, like No Man's Sky. If you bought it from one place, you got one ship. If you bought it from another place, you got another ship. So you can never really play a game with 100% of the content anymore unless you buy it like 3 or 4 times. Some of these people, you have to buy it from Walmart, Target, or whatever. Asda, Game. They've all got special editions these days,
and that fucking sucks.
It's annoying. Why the hell? It's like you've got to make your decision unless you want to buy the game 3 times. So no, stop doing that. But yeah, I think it should be available. Gaz thinks it should be available if you're into that. And then so I've rejigged this. This is the last question. It's from Smash Tommy, who asks, after playing games, have you ever thought this is a place or country I really want to go to? For me, it was Hong Kong after playing the first Deus Ex, another Deus Ex. Is there a game that you've played and you've gone, whoa, I want to go here because I played this game? I actually have an answer for this.
Yeah.
Metal Gear Solid 1, when you finish it, Shadow Moses and stuff, and then you go out to Alaska with Otacon because you didn't do the torture thing, and then you see all the elk, and then you see like the pine trees and the snow and the mountains, and it's like kind of like, real world cinematic. I really, really like that, and I've always wanted to go to Alaska since I was a kid because I played that. I still haven't gone, but that's all because I did that, and I don't know why it triggered the memory there. So yeah.
No, I think a lot of games are like that. I think you get to experience a lot in games, as with books and things like another media as well, like film and TV. Yeah. You get to experience a different life, a different culture in a like very limited way, but a culture and a way of life that you might not get to experience just in a day-to-day type of way. So yeah, I exactly, totally agree with you. And like the weirdest example for that, and the answer to your question for me would be Persona 5. Like having that, being in the subway in Tokyo, Japan, whatever.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, I'd like to go to Japan. I mean, maybe I would have liked that beforehand, but I don't know, it's something that appeals to me, having played that game. But that does apply to a lot of other games as well. That's just not my only answer, but that's a recent example that I can think
that's
of.
a great one. Yeah, you're totally right. I think that's part of it, isn't it? Like you're saying, with other media, you get sucked into a world, and then sometimes when you come back to your world, the real world, you want to go back. And if it's based on a real place, who can blame you for sometimes wanting to go to a place because you've seen it or read about it? I mean, like American Gods or whatever. There's all these different times and stories, and you think, oh, America, you know. Persona 5 is a great example because I agree. It doesn't kind of portray it in a perfect light. It's like, but the hospital, it seems cool. There's all these like little cafes and coffee shops and stuff.
It is cool.
And you kind of know that it'll be like that when you go there. There'll be like coffee shops and there'll be a lot of people. There won't be any mind palaces, I don't think. So don't get your hopes up about any weird...
Well, I don't know. I heard a lot about Japan.
There's a lot
about Japan. You don't know. But I'm funny. I'm one of them guys that watches a TV show like Vikings and then wishes he was a Viking back in the 13th century or whatever. Like I'm weird like that. So it's like Game of Thrones. Yeah, I want to be in medieval times, and shit like that. So that applies to all different medias as well. It's like influence, isn't it? It's like you see, you want.
Exactly. So that's it. Thanks for helping us wish our life away even more, Tommy. We want to be in the Viking times now. No, but that wraps it up for questions. We had about 12 questions, and get them in for next week. We'll have the full. We won't be as busy next week, so we'll have the full team again to answer them. And I hope it wasn't too lacking with just the two of us. I'm sure it wasn't. Thanks a lot for joining us on this week's Pretty Good podcast. I'm Jake Kukowski. This is Gareth Evans.
We'll see you again.
See you next time.